You are about to opt in to Monerotopia, a show for the Monero community where all are welcome to join. From noob to maxi, no matter what bags you hold. Just sit back and relax to the sweet sounds of Monero's latest progress. Or if you're feeling inspired, join us on stage. Remember, the only thing that can stop Monero is a false belief that it can be stopped. And if you want to win the revolution faster, we recommend you remove your XMR from all custodial exchanges immediately. Warning, voting accidents are common around here. Don't forget to properly secure your private keys. Monerotopia starts now.
All right. Good morning. How's it going, guys?
It goes. How about yourself?
Good. Just been watching the show, man. Things just keep escalating. As I'm sure you know. I'm sure you've been following. Have you been following it? Have you been glued to the news?
No.
With regards to Iran, or you're ignoring it?
I'm just kind of like, oh, okay, whatever. It was interesting for the first couple of days, and I'm like, oh, whatever happens.
Seems it's getting more interesting in my opinion, because it's like it's really at a crossroads now where Trump is backed into a corner, and he needs to make a decision. He's trying to prop up the markets, trying to keep oil prices down through rhetoric, but the markets are saying otherwise. They're trying to push the price up. There's oil shortages. A major oil route essentially has been shut down. We get something like 20 million barrels of oil are coming out of there, or 20% of. Is it 20% of the oil that's coming out?
20% of the world's oil.
20% of the world's oil. None of it really. Some of it comes to the U.S., but supposedly the U.S. we're good. We have our own, but it's affecting a lot of other places where they're having energy lockdowns. Similar to, kind of like COVID type stuff, but for energy restriction purposes, not because of a virus, but similar outcomes, basically implementing rules, telling people what to do, preventing people from doing what they normally would be doing, right? So, you can only work so many days a week, kind of forcing people to stay home, all types of stuff. And yeah, this is all because a major oil route has been effectively shut down by Iran, the Strait of Hormuz. It's like you got the global economy, and this is, a major artery that's blocked, and Trump has a matter of days to unblock it before the patient dies. Is basically what's going on, and I don't know what the quick fix is going to be. Right, we talked about on the show last week, bringing up that island, that Carr island, and that seems like it's becoming more real. But that is no small operation. There's no. It doesn't seem like there's any quick fix. I mean, Iran is completely dug in. They're basically surrounded by natural barriers, granite mountains that have built artillery into. And it's overlooking the Strait of Hormuz. So it's like they have 300 miles of coastline that they have built munitions into these granite mountains. So it's like, how do you quickly and easily invade and take over the control of the strait when you have to deal essentially with mainland Iran? There's no way. I don't know. I mean, obviously, I'm not a military strategist, but I don't know. My analysis is there's no quick fix. It's not like you just run in, grab this island, and declare victory. Iran is dead set on keeping that strait closed as long as their terms aren't met. I mean, what do they have to really lose at this point? They've been getting their ass kicked, right? A lot of their their navy supposedly has been destroyed. A lot of their military facility, or almost all their military facilities, or hear all these things that have been destroyed. Right, they've been kind of like wiped out in that respect. But they're still able to keep the strait closed, and it seems like even if it was down to a few people, they'd be able to effectively keep the strait closed. All they need is a guy with a missile launcher hidden in the rocks over there, and you could take out a ship, or at least threaten to the point where insurance doesn't want to cover the ships going through. So it's a real problem. It's a real stalemate, and Iran has time on their side because the longer things take, the higher the price of oil goes, the more stress that's put on the global economy, and politically, the more stress that's put on Trump. So, really curious to see how this all ends. It is interesting.
Well, they might.
It is interesting.
They might just let it continue and then print money. When the economy starts to go into free fall, they'll just print money and
keep things the way they are. Though they need. I mean, Trump wants to absolutely. The goal is to take over that Strait of Hormuz, right? I don't think this really had anything to do with nuclear. It was about controlling this major artery, right? That's why he's also talking about Greenland.
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
You don't think they'll take over and control the strait?
They might for a while, but the U.S. just doesn't have the desire to be in the Middle East. I mean, we don't want an Iraq 2.0. And that's what this is going to turn into, because we're going to have a forever war in order to keep that straight. Like, we might take it over, sure, but unless we want to stay there forever, we're not keeping it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the idea is there'd be deals with the other surrounding countries, and they'd be the ones basically controlling it, and the U.S. would kind of be there as backup, right? They'd be the muscle if needed to step in.
I mean,
but I definitely think that is like that. I don't think Trump is walking away without controlling the Strait of Hormuz, because he needs to. He needs to open that up, because that's the only thing that's going to bring the markets back, is opening up that artery, and then there'll be a flush of oil back in the system. Oil will go down. The markets will rally, which he needs to happen. He's running out of time there. He's got the midterms coming up. He needs to turn the economy around. He needs to be able to talk about how he brought the stock market up, while temporarily taking a break from pumping the market to go fix this problem in Iran. He needs these things to happen, and it's just his personality, right? I don't see him back. He is good at like declaring victory or whatever. Pretending things are one way and trying to convince everybody of it. But what would that be? That'd be him basically walking away and just saying, "Hey, we won." But I don't really see how that works either, because Iran will just keep the strait closed. So there's no like ignoring it and pretend, "Oh, look, we took out all their nuclear facilities, and there's no way they're going to build a bomb, and da-da-da. We set them back 100 years in terms of military capabilities, so we're walking away." Meanwhile, the strait stays closed. Oil prices continue to go. Like, I don't see the walk away option, because Trump would certainly do that if that option existed, and he would just pretend that he was completely victorious. But yeah, I don't see that being an option unless I'm missing something.
The U.S. is not the military power that it once was. Don't get me wrong; the U.S. still has a big military and everything. But the U.S. is not equipped to fight these kinds of fights. The U.S. population doesn't want it, and won't. Like, eventually they'll get tired of it. Again, we don't want a forever war. And when you're shooting down $50,000 drones with $300 million missiles, eventually you're going to run out of funds.
I know, that's what I'm saying. Like, Iran has the upper hand here, right?
And it's like not only that, but where do we get the rare earth magnets for these $300 missiles? China. And who needs the oil from Iran? China.
Yeah. Even more than the oil, they need the helium, right? Now we're learning that. The helium is a byproduct of the natural gas production. We have a lot of helium in the U.S., but China is getting most of it from there. I think like 90% of their helium is coming from there. And you need the helium, my understanding is for the production of chips. Is that what this is all, is that what this is really all about too? I don't know. I don't know what it was, what it really was all about. But I think ultimately Trump needs to win over control of the Strait of Hormuz. There's like no other option. And if that is the case, I don't see how things don't get worse before they get better in terms of oil prices going up, markets going down. It's not like, I don't think, it's not going to be a Venezuela situation where we just wake up on Sunday morning and be like, oh my God, wait, what happened? And you see people celebrating in the streets. That option doesn't exist. That option doesn't exist. It's going to be a wake up in the morning and be like, oh shit, we've invaded the Strait. We took over the island. And it looks like we're in a battle here, and it's gonna be some time. It's gonna take some time. Strait's just not gonna instantly open. There's gonna be some thinking. My market's gonna have to price it in. How long is this gonna take until it stabilizes and we gain control of it? And then at that point, I see things turning around, and I think that's ultimately what Trump is going to try to do, and I do think he will. I think he will achieve it. I think the U.S. will achieve it. Whether people agree with it should be done or not, at this point we have no choice. Like we're already in it. But yeah, that's my analysis.
As soon as we relinquish like control to the, if we take control of it, as soon as we relinquish the control to the Middle East, to Kuwait and like all those people, once we do that, then it's back in Iran's hands.
Yeah, you would think. But at that point, does Trump care? He's out of office. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how long term he's. I don't know. I don't know what he's. Yeah, he's in it though, man. He's in it. We got Pete Hegseth, calling the shots. The other thing, we don't really know how much damage is the U.S. taking. Right, we hear reports of like the bases being attacked. Obviously, when you hear it from Trump, it's like we annihilated them. They shot 100 missiles at us. We knocked all of them down. Yeah, meanwhile, it costs like $100 billion to do it or something in terms of the amount of missiles we had to use for it. Or maybe not that much. What it costs like $200 million.
After about the first week, I stopped paying attention. It's like, okay, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, for me, it's hard not to pay. I don't know. I'm kind of glued to it. I wish, I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't be paying it. It's wasting my time. But
I just don't pay much attention to the news in general. I just like, fuck this. I'll go live my life. I
usually
doing
don't,
else.
Man. I'm usually really good at that. Like I said last show, it's because I have a little bit of a trading stack I'm playing with, which is just, it's a bad lifestyle. But I'll be done with that soon. Just because I need to use those funds.
Because you've lost all your money.
yeah. Either I lost all my money, or I have to actually use those funds for something. This isn't my Monero stack that I use and I just accumulate and I live off of. This is like I wouldn't call it a fun pile. It's an investment pile. Like I can't really afford to lose it, but I haven't done that in years, man. Like I don't enjoy it.
If you can't afford to lose it, you shouldn't be trading with it because that's a pretty good guarantee of a way to lose
right now, I'm in cash. I'm in cash right now.
Okay.
But if I see a good opportunity, I've already did lose. I made, it's a lot more than what it started out as, but it's a lot less than what it was at one point. So,
right.
Obviously, it would have been ideal if I would have walked away at a certain point. But yeah, it's kind of a bad addiction. It's a time waster. Much rather just focus on building things. And I am focused on that as well. We have making a lot of headway with XMR Bazaar, Anon Bazaar. We have some announcements coming up with that. I think we talked about it on the last show. Pirate Chain, we're going to be adding them soon. And Xano, it looks like we might be working out a deal to get Xano on board as well. And if we get Xano, that would come with the first stablecoin. Because with Xano, we'd be adding FUSD, the freedom dollar. They also have DAI. They also have DAI as a confidential asset, which makes it effectively a private stablecoin as well. Arguably one that's perhaps more reliable than freedom dollar, because we don't really know yet, right? Freedom dollar is algorithmic.
Yeah, DAI is backed by USDC and USDT.
Right. And freedom dollar is backed too, right? But it's backed by Xano. So it's over collateralized, but still experimental in my mind. Obviously similar concept to DAI, but DAI is more well established, and it's backed by, like you said, these other more stable, reliable currencies. What is it backed by? USDT,
USDT and USDC.
Yeah, so that's going to be pretty stable. Like, I don't even know what the failure case is for DAI.
That would be that if USDC and USDT decide to freeze the wallet that holds the thing for DAI, that would be the failure case.
Right, but so DAI is effectively censorship resistant, right? Can't be frozen, but the assets underlying it could be.
Correct.
Right? Which is interesting. So they could kind of, yeah. So, but I would say overall, pretty reliable stablecoin. And now that Xano has added it as a confidential asset, it turns it into a private stablecoin, which is pretty cool. I've always seen that as being one of the holy grails. I know Shortwave, I think you see Monero as fulfilling that use case as well, because effectively everything should just be valued in Monero.
Yes, it should.
And I am with you there, but practically speaking, I'm with you there in theory, but in terms of practicality and the road towards getting there, I think it's good to have like a quote unquote private stablecoin.
Monero is actually a very, very stable currency.
It is. Of course, probably I would say, I don't know, it seems like the most stable of all non-stable coins.
Just use the moving average, and it only changes once per day, and it's a very, very stable currency.
Except when we pumped up to $800 and then like went back down to 300
no,
in a matter of weeks.
No, if you'd stayed with the moving average, you wouldn't have noticed it.
Yeah. True.
That's why if you price things in Monero, then it doesn't matter what the fiat price does, because the things you want are priced in Monero, and eventually the prices will change. But the prices change at the speed of humans. They don't change at the speed of algorithms. That's the difference. There's friction there, like it throws sand in the gears, and that's what causes it to be more stable than it otherwise would be. Because you're not changing the prices at the speed of computers. You're trading prices at the speed of humans, and humans sleep and eat and don't pay attention to what's going on all the time and stuff like that. So you're throwing sand in those gears.
Sorry about that. I'm listening. Just had to blow my nose.
How dare you?
Yeah, I got a little bit of cold. There's that going on as well. I think I'm over it now, but hit me pretty hard like 2 days ago.
Fun.
I've been good, man. I haven't gotten sick in a while. I do all the things. Take my zinc, take my vitamin D. Obviously try to get sunshine, but here in New York in the winter, it's been a tough winter.
You can blame Penelope.
Yeah, Penelope was sick. She had the RSV, whatever the hell, that's like a new thing that everybody gets now. RSV, like what? Where did that come from? Used to just be a cold. Used to be kids get colds. Now it's like, and then they have a vaccine for it. Obviously, she didn't get the vaccine. She was not vaxxed for RSV, and she's fine. She survived. She's just fine. Madalena Moon tipped 0.001 XMR. I'm pretty bullish on Quai's hierarchy of change, especially making transactions feel like Visa UX. But I don't get the Quai emission. Why tie rewards to difficulty instead of fixed per block? Wouldn't a constant model like Monero be simple? That's a good question for the Quai guys. They talked about it in their talks, but the idea is that it's supposed to be based on like the cost of production more purely, right? Based on energy. Basically, they want Quai to be in line with the cost of extracting energy, which is what proof of work is, and they want to be the ultimate form of that. They want to be like kind of the purest proof of work crypto, which is cool. Which is cool. The Quai guy, super smart dude, very intelligent guy, very nice guy. He was at Monerotopia. I did a Monero talk with him. Trying to get Quai added to Adon Bazaar as well. They are interested, and then we just lost communication. We said, stopped communicating. But they're very interested to get the Qui. Is it right? Is it called Qui? There's Quai is the coin, and then their stable coin is called Qui, right? Something. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so, but I won't swear to that. Quai is not something I know super well.
Yeah, so they have this stable coin, private stable coin built on top of Quai, which is very cool.
Oh no, it might be pronounced Chi. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's pronounced Chi. You're right. It's pronounced Chi. Okay. So yeah, I'm sure we'll be learning more about Quai. I really like those guys. I think it's a novel project, and I want to get them added to Adon Bazaar because Chi is another very interesting project, and also, very censorship resistant, backed by the Quai network. I know it's relatively young project, but seems very robust, right? Especially the way their proof of work works. It's like multiple proof of works that they're using. They've thought about everything in terms of avoiding 51% attacks, and some of the attacks we recently saw on Monero, Quai would be resilient to that. Theoretically, it wouldn't be possible to do those types of attacks on the Quai network. So, very interesting project.
Something else I don't get though? Why are these things called stable coins? They are pegged to an asset that's a fiat currency, but a fiat currency is not stable. You're guaranteed, like in the US, you're guaranteed to lose like 7% per year. Guaranteed with no.
Yeah, they should be called fiat.
Yeah, they should be called fiat coins. They're not stable coins.
And then you have the metal. There should be metals coins, right? Like that are pegged to gold, silver. They should be fiat coins. But in practice, they feel more stable for people because that's how people value things, right?
Well, then people are valuing things wrong.
Yeah, they are. But it's human psychology, right? It's marketing.
It's like that. It's like that.
The government does a very good job, and the banking system does a very good job at marketing it as the thing.
It's like that Coinbase commercial where it's like in 2012, this house would have cost you 30,000 Bitcoin, and 10 years later you can have it for 50, and now you can have it for 5. It's like you're clearly valuing it the wrong thing. If the price is going up in fiat currency, then you're clearly valuing it wrong.
I constantly try to teach, I try to open Franya's eyes to this and with all my kids, because that's how they get you, right? Because it takes time to realize the scam because you have to experience it. So, as a kid, you have your money and you don't know that an ice cream used to cost $1 and now it costs 10. You're just like, oh, ice cream costs $10. So it's not until 30 years later you're like, wait a minute, now ice cream costs $30. Like what the? So it takes a lifetime to realize this on your own. What the fiat scam is. Obviously, everybody in crypto has been getting the word out on it, but normies, they just they're not exposed to it. It takes a lifetime to realize it, and that's why the scam is so effective.
Yeah, like in Monero, your prices go nowhere but down. At least so far that I've seen in the several years that I've been using Monero, I've seen my prices go nowhere but downwards.
And it gets to what you're always saying, right? Like we need to change. The way we win is by changing the mindset, so that we start valuing things in Monero. Make Monero the unit of account. That's really what it comes down to. They've managed to make fiat the standard unit of account. It's backed by the government. This message is backed by the government, that fiat is the unit of account, right? Taxes are accepted in only dollars, and everything is basically just assessed and marked in dollar amounts. So the only way to win that is through marketing, to where people start opening their minds to making something else the unit of account. Which it's hard to beat the government at that. But we have a lot of tools on our side these days, like the internet and social media, and but it's a struggle. It's a constant battle. I think we're doing a pretty good job here in Monero land, but our group is small, and even among us, who really is valuing it in terms of seeing it at Monero as a unit of account, other than shortwave. Like not that many people have arrived to that level, level of awareness. You have ascended, shortwave. You were at the peak of being a Monero bro. I'm like there too, but I'll say you're even higher. There's few like you.
I am the prophet speaking from atop.
I'm aware of it, but I haven't fully accepted it. Like, right? There's moments, especially when I'm at Monerotopia, and we use Monero all the time for our businesses. But yeah, it's hard to completely unplug from the fiat system.
Yeah, man. Once you go on XMR Bazaar and you want to buy a laptop, and you get to the point where you're like, okay, this laptop is 0.1% of my Monero stack, and I can easily take a 0.1% hit on my Monero stack and be okay because I can replace it next month. Then you have arrived, because your laptop will be priced in Monero, and you'll be like, okay, I have 250 Monero. This laptop is 0.001% of my stack. If I dropped that in a freaking puddle and lost it, I would be okay with it. But I'm going to get this laptop with it. If this laptop works, great. If the laptop doesn't work, well, then I lost 0.001% of my Monero stack, but it's okay.
Right. That's interesting. Maybe that's a good way to value it. Like in a wallet, you could enter what your denominator is, right? Like what your stack is.
I mean,
the wallet should know, right? But like, let's say, like, you could put your own number in there, because maybe not all the Monero is on that one wallet or something, and then you could kind of see percentage of what things are compared to your stack.
See, this is
why
I don't have any fiat APIs in my wallet. Like, this is exactly why I don't have any kind of fiat APIs turned on in my wallets, because I don't want to see the fiat price.
Yeah. Forces you to value it in terms of Monero, based on the amount you have versus how much something costs. We got another XMR chat. What is the username here? That's weird. It just didn't come up, or
maybe the username is just a space.
There's a guy on Twitter allegedly working on a Monero stablecoin. How much of a scam is it? XMR Monero USD. Yeah, I don't know. I did see that, I think, on X briefly. Is there how are they even doing it? I don't even know. What is it called? It's called just Monero USD. See if I can find it on.
Because that's not going to make it difficult to find it all with the trading pairs and everything.
A private, decentralized P2P stablecoin. Stake, lend, earn. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how they intend on. We could bring it up. Let's bring it up real quick.
You know what we need, Doug? We need life insurance priced to Monero. Like we need life insurance policies in Monero.
Get on it, people. There's opportunities. These are opportunities. There's so much to build in Monero, right? Things like that. It's not just about coding and building apps, but like building tools like that.
I need a 300 Monero life insurance policy.
That would be cool. So yeah, what is this? Let's see if we can make this full screen here. Monero USD will revolutionize the Monero ecosystem with full chain membership proofs plus privacy, stability, and DeFi-like buildability. A developer-friendly fork of XMR. This is a fork of XMR that aims to serve the community with lending platforms, staking rewards, and more. All right, so sounds a bit pie in the sky. I don't know. They actually. So what is this? This is their demo. What is this doing? But it's going to be its own. So it's going to be a fork of Monero that's somehow made to be stable.
Sounds like it's going to be its own blockchain, yeah.
Yeah.
At least that's what it sounds like.
I don't really know how they're going to make it stable. Like, how's that going to work? That seems very, very light on information. This is the X account. I don't even see a link to a website. There's a link to a Telegram. So.
Oh, that sounds super sketch.
Yeah. Development update. The transaction fees for Monero USD will be 0.1% of the transaction total, which will naturally grow reserves and support the peg. The website is completed and ready for development. All right, so we'll keep an eye on it. You know, good efforts. We do want to see privacy stablecoin. Like we said, there are options out there right now. There are some options out there right now. I don't know how popular. Wait, what did I do? How do I get back to our normal here? Okay. Like Freedom Dollar. I think it appears to be growing a little bit. You know, I think it's people are once we add it to XMR Bazaar, ANA Bazaar, we'll see. We'll see if people actually use it. That'll be the true case. People actually use Monero. That is the differentiator between Monero and pretty much any other crypto. It's pretty amazing. So,
Did you see that Fannie Mae is going to let you do mortgages in cryptos now?
Yes, I think I have that as a news link. It's not that you're really doing mortgages in crypto. It's that you could get the mortgage is one loan, but with that you need to put a down payment, right? So if you're buying a $500,000 house and you want to put it down $100,000 and you don't have the cash, you could get this additional loan that would be Bitcoin backed. So if you had 5 Bitcoins sitting around, you could use that as collateral to get out the $100,000 loan for the down payment.
Yeah, apparently it's going to be more than just Bitcoin too. Apparently right now it's USDC and Bitcoin, but they were talking about like things like tokenized Apple stock or Tesla or something like that. So like you could theoretically do whatever kind of crypto you wanted in the future.
Yeah, I looked into it a little bit.
Back your mortgage with Shiba Inu.
Man, right? I know people are making fun of it. They're like going to the loan officer and they're like, all right, let me see your portfolio of assets. And it's like,
can I back my mortgage with my fart coin, please?
I got 50K of fart coin. Oh, wait. No, it's 40K. No, wait, hold on. It's 70K. Crazy. It's good sign to see the traditional banking system is being forced to compete and, start treating crypto like it's a legitimate asset, because it is. It is. Some more than others. Bitcoin, Monero. Most are not legitimate just because they're meme coin, shitcoin things that will disappear over time. They're just complete fads. I really don't think Fartcoin's going to be here in 100 years. Although maybe if anything, if any meme coin can last, maybe it would be Fartcoin. It's an endless meme. It's timeless. Farts will always be a thing. Crazy, man. Shortwave, do you trade Fartcoin?
Hell no. The only crypto I use is Monero. Like, I use USDC to buy Monero with, but other than that, the only two cryptos I even touch are USDC and Monero.
Yeah, same here. For the most part, I touch some others just because we're involved with them for Monerotopia and stuff. But yeah, in terms of using, I'm using Monero.
Oh, I only use Monero. The only
Yeah.
thing I use USDC for is to buy USDC on a centralized exchange once a month, and then I put it in my self-custodial wallet, and then I immediately go to Trocador or CipherGoat and swap that for Monero. So literally, I have USDC for about 10 minutes each month.
Nice.
But otherwise, I only use Monero.
Yeah, same here. So do we have Bawdy today? Did we hear from him at all yet?
Yes, we did. He's going to be on in about 23 minutes, 21 minutes.
Okay.
So he asked if we could do news first, and then we could do Bawdy after about 21 minutes.
Okay, so I guess I could do news. We could run and do that. I do have a bunch of links. We kind of talked about a bunch of things, talked about a lot of the news just now, but yeah, let's run through news now, and that will give Bawdy some time. We don't have a special guest today. Anybody who wants to jump up, hit me up. I hit some people up last minute. I'll try to do a Monero talk this week. I just had a lot going on, so I slowed down a little bit, guys. Not gonna lie, but I could use a break, and I was sick. I reached out to some people, checking my DMs now, see if anybody's getting back. Not for today, but for future shows. Yeah, I think I'll have Sir Jams a lot on this week on Monero Talk. Reach out to some other people. I think it's a good time. Maybe get the devs on, do another Monero Talk with the devs working on full chain membership proofs. Obviously, we got some updates at Monerotopia. We had them there, but could be a good time. We're hearing rumors that things may have slowed down with full chain membership proofs, or whatever deadline maybe got pushed. Launch date maybe got pushed back a little bit from what was expected a month or so ago. I don't know. That could be FUD that I'm spreading. I'm not exactly sure where we're at with it, but I do think I saw hints at that. So it would be nice to touch base with people in the know on full chain membership proofs, see where we're at. That is the most exciting thing that's happening in Monero right now in terms of protocol developments. RandomX was upgraded recently, or it's being upgraded. We had Bitmain at Monerotopia, and it went over well, right? I was a little, concerned that maybe the Monero community would be like, no, keep them away. But the concept of keeping it an open forum where we let people come in that are working on projects in Monero, Bitmain being one of them, right? They want to develop miners. We don't want ASIC miners, but they're in the business of developing miners, right? And the idea isn't to say, no, don't use your miners. It's to build a protocol that's resistant to that. So the struggle between those two forces is ultimately good for Monero. And hopefully the end result just leads to more hash power. And we do have Bitmain producing devices, but devices that aren't ASICs per se are just perhaps the most efficient CPU miners you could buy, right? Would be their goal, or one of the most efficient. So
exactly.
Right? And now we just have, all right, you could mine at home with your CPU, or you want to invest in a Bitmain miner, maybe you'll get some better hashing power. But overall, the result is more people mining, which is good, while maintaining decentralization and not having any one producer of ASICs and these large ASIC farms. I think we're that's the direction we're still headed in. So
and it sounded to me like when we told as the community, what we told Bitmain is, we don't mind you being here, but we don't want ASICs, and we're not going to allow ASICs. But if you're going to build a CPU miner to heat our houses or something like that, we're all for that. Yeah. That's what it sounded like to me.
Me too. And I actually spoke to them again this week. So we're going to be collaborating with them more. I'll have them on the show again so people can talk to them, because they heard the feedback, right? They're also talking about how basically reducing the size of the miner, making it more of a at-home miner thing. I think because the cost point for the X9 was like $5K or something. So this would be more like $1,000 at-home miner, plug and play.
I think we need something like 500 to 1,000 is probably the price point where you'd want to hit for just your general at-home person.
That's exactly what I told them. I said 500 to 1,000, And so yeah, they're interested in that. So they talked with us at the conference, but now they want to continue the conversation, which is really cool. And maybe we could get, what I want to do is get them on the show and get some of the people working on RandomX on the show. That would be great. I would love to hear that conversation.
15 minutes to body, by the way.
Okay. So should I do news or another tip? Full chain membership plus status from Jay Berman. Yeah. Okay. I saw that. Should try to bring that up. I wish I could just easily copy that link. Need a way to do that. I guess if I pull up xmrchat.com, I can do it. Thanks for sending the link. All right, so let me... The
Monerotopia Weekly News segment is sponsored by WizardSwap.io, a non-custodial cryptocurrency exchange.
All right. Let's run through the news. Here we go. So, first story from Dark Bros. This is the moment Mexico's President Claudia Sheinbaum announced the plan to end cash payments at gas stations and toll booths by the end of this year. Our goal is that this year we make it mandatory to pay for gasoline and toll booths digitally. This will allow us to promote accessible digital payments that allow us to advance the digitization of the country through many other schemes. So wait, let's actually hear what is this in English? No.
Casetas a través de manera digital. Esto va a permitir potenciar.
Yeah, so not in English, but she wants to mandate that cash can no longer be used at gas stations and toll booths, right? So they don't want people to basically move around freely and privately, right? Because if they're not using cash, they're using basically traceable payment means. So anytime you're purchasing gas or you're going through a toll booth, there'll be no way to do that anonymously. This is crazy. Good for Monerotopia, right? Maybe this starts to open up some of the normies in Mexico City, some of their minds. They start to open their eyes to this. Like, wait, what's going on? Why are they eliminating cash? Cash is big in Mexico. People like to, people naturally use cash. We talk about that, right? That's one of the reasons why Monerotopia works down there. You have all these vendors everywhere, not even just, in the venue, but throughout Mexico. There's vendors everywhere selling tacos on the street. And they're all, thankfully, currently accepting cash, but they want that. They want to kill that, right? They don't want people to be able to accept some private medium of exchange that they can't easily tax and trace. Derek Bros is saying, I highly doubt they can make this happen in Mexico. Learn the full story of this week's 89th banking convention. So this was at the banking convention in Mexico City. We should have done Monerotopia the same week as this banking convention. That would have been funny. Mexico's central bank BIS and BlackRock discuss phasing out cash and future of digital money. So, not surprised, right, guys? This is what's happening everywhere. It's part of the globalist strategy to control everyone. Yeah. So. But good for Monerotopia, I would say. Right? We'll open up some more people's eyes. Maybe Monerotopia could help be the solution in Mexico. Help open people's eyes. Next story. Oh, so this is SimonDixon pointing out how manipulated the market has been. Basically, it's all based on Trump's tweets lately, right? So he's trying to prop up the market as the war gets worse and oil goes up. Trump tries to stave off the bleeding by putting tweets out there. So one of the most obvious ones was Monday morning. I was watching this very closely. Trump had issued basically an ultimatum to Iran last weekend. They had 48 hours to open up the Strait of Hormuz, or the U.S. would start bombing all of their infrastructure, basically their energy infrastructure. And then Monday morning, the deadline I think was going to be Monday night. Monday morning around 7 a.m., right before the markets opened, we saw there was, things started to tick up. There was some large buys, right? People buying the market, anticipating a pump. And sure enough, Trump stepped in, and right before the markets opened, an hour before they opened, so we saw the big buys at 650. $1.5 billion went in to the S&P, betting on that basically the market was going to go up. And then 14 minutes later, at 7:04 a.m., President Trump announced productive discussions with Iran were underway. And he basically then delayed the ultimatum by 5 days at that moment, and he pumped the markets. He instantly brought down the price of oil. Panics kind of subsided. There was another 5 days. So he just continues to do that. It's pretty wild to witness. Although these tacos, right? Trump always chickens out. They've seemed to be less and less effective. So this one on Monday morning was very effective. He was able to keep the price of oil from falling and prop up the market. But we saw one later this week, and it was not nearly as effective. He jumped in. This was after the 5 day. The 5 days was going to be running out on Friday, and I think he jumped in. Was it Thursday? I don't remember now. It's all a blur. And he delayed again. He pushed it back again. Prices, the markets were getting too hot, or were crashing too much, really. Things were unwinding. He didn't like what was happening in the bond market. Oil's going too high. He stepped in again and said, you know what? We're delaying it now 10 more days because Iran requested 5 more days, and I'm being nice. I'm giving them 10 days, which happens to be Easter Monday. And so that caused oil to start to go down, but it only went down for like an hour and then bounced back up. So the market is no longer really affected by these tacos, and which is why I was saying at the outset of this, Trump is kind of in a corner right now, and he's not really able to keep the market propped up through rhetoric anymore. I mean, he's going to keep trying, I'm sure, but it's getting to the point where he's going to have to do something. But just incredible to see this manipulation. It's clear manipulation. We're talking billions of dollars that they could get washed through here. This isn't small. They're manipulating all the markets, right? They're not manipulating one stock. It's trillions of dollars in swings. So incredible, and it's pretty sad, right, to see. Next story. Hold on. What was my next story over here? Okay. But here's the next story. It looks like things are going to be ramping up with the war because now Yemen is getting involved. In a major escalation, Yemen's Houthi group has officially joined the war with the ballistic missile launch at Israel, just as the war hit its 1 month mark. So now the Houthis are getting involved. And the big issue there is all eyes are now on the Bab al-Mandab Strait. So there's the Strait of Hormuz. This is the other strait on the other side of the peninsula. And so if they're able to close that down, that's the one that goes basically into the Red Sea. If they're able to close that down, that's another major artery, right? So now it's not just 20% of the world's oil, it's much more. So that would put even more pressure on the United States to come up with some resolution to stop the rising oil prices and the impending global market collapse. Next story we got over here is the bond markets are telling the future. Trump paused tariffs with a 10-year yield at 4.6. Trump bought $200 billion of mortgage bonds with a 10-year at 4.3. So just showing anytime the bond yields get too high, Trump basically tacos, right? So he did this with tariffs. He had the tariffs in place. Market started to go down. The yield started to go up. He got nervous. What did he do? He tacoed, and he reacted. He did the same. So he was doing that with the tariffs, and now he's doing the same thing with the strikes on Iran. Trump delayed Iran strikes with the 10-year at 4.45. Trump further delayed Iran strikes with the 10-year at 4.45. So it's showing you all the points in the timeline as things progress where Trump steps in and does these tacos, basically, ultimately in response to the bond market. So if you are trading out there, you can literally just watch the bond market and then just wait, to see when Trump is going to react.
Eventually, though, when it stops working, they're going to have to resort to yield curve control and start buying the bonds themselves.
Yeah, and I guess that's gonna, like I said, it's gonna stop working soon, right? The market catches up, the market learns.
Well, and yield curve control is another word for printing money, which means that things like inflation and Monero are going to go up.
Yes, that's gonna happen at some point. They'll be forced to, turn on the money printers. I'm sure Bawdy will get into that when we have him up. Tyler Dern from Zero Hedge. International Energy Agency pushes rationing. Right? So this is another interesting element of everything that's going on. We're seeing these essentially energy lockdowns that are starting to happen in different parts of the world. And now we have the International Energy Agency in Paris has released a new and urgent document that it wishes all nations with energy struggles to adopt. Many are doing that now. So, yeah. We're seeing, let's see, what does it say here? So here's some of the things they're recommending. Inspired by the manner in which governments were able to control communications and people during the COVID crisis, the IEA advises the following. So this is what they're advising to deal with the lack of oil in some of these places. Work from home where possible, reduce highway speed limits by at least 10 kilometers an hour, encourage public transportation, alternative private car access to roads in large cities on different days. So restricting how often you could even drive into places. Increase car sharing and adopt efficient driving practices, efficient driving for road commercial vehicles and delivery goods. Divert liquid petroleum gas use from transport, avoid air travel, so telling people they shouldn't even be traveling anymore, maybe eventually stopping people from traveling, flying. Where possible, switch to other modern cooking solutions. So it's like, people can't use gas stoves anymore. Leverage flexibility with petrochemical feedstocks and implement short-term efficiency and maintenance measures. So yeah, here they come, guys. So the big globalist agencies are now taking this as an opportunity to implement control.
Wasn't there one about not cooling your house below 79 degrees Fahrenheit?
Oh, I don't even know. Yeah, I don't know.
I thought I saw that somewhere. It's like, don't cool your house below 79 degrees Fahrenheit.
Wild. So I mean, yeah, like, is this really what things are about? Is this just like it's like another COVID ultimately, and we're just waiting for the shoe to drop where we're like in global energy lockdowns, and we're all looking at each other like, wait, what's going on? Why is the government telling me what I can and cannot do in terms of like travel and meeting up with my family for the holidays? Like, is it another one of these? I don't know. It's possible. Seems like we're moving in that direction. Certainly seems that way. Next story. Ruben Yap. A Linux init system is now a government age verification compliance layer. Think about what this means. The same open source infrastructure that runs most of the internet servers is being modified to collect and store personal data for government mandate. And when some distros push back, the discussion was locked. The pattern is always the same. Start with something reasonable, like age verification. Build the infrastructure, then expand its use. This is exactly why privacy needs to be a design principle, not an afterthought. So, pretty scary to see this happening in an open source project. I don't know. Have you been following that? I know we brought it up on the show a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, I have a little bit more information about it. So what's going on here is that System D, which is the init system for a lot of Linux distributions, is adding an optional field to one of their things. It's not mandatory at all, but it's optional and allows you to enter a date of birth. It is not going to be used for anything other than, like, as I said, it's optional. And System D says that they will not themselves do any kind of blocking or age verification or anything like that. All they are doing is adding a field so that if an application requests to have that field shown to them, they can get it. There is a fork of System D. Somebody took System D and forked it in protest of this. And there's also a website called Ageless Linux that I suggest you look at. And some people were even talking about it going as far as like having the network stack turned off at install time. And then you have to check a checkbox that says, yes, I want to be able to use the internet. And by doing that, it would absolve the operating system providers from this age verification law because they ship with the internet disabled on their systems, and the user has to check it in order to enable it.
So how did things get so out of whack in the Linux project to the point where they were willing to make these changes?
That I could not tell you. I'm guessing it's because of the fact that, as I said, System D is in use in most Linux init systems, and so they're going to be used in systems like Red Hat and SUSE and like different systems that are in use in these states and territories that have this, and so they need to have some way of complying. I don't think they should do it, but it's not up to me. So.
Okay. So we'll see how that develops. But Ruben putting out the warning signs, right? This is how it starts.
Yeah, Ageless Linux does have a list of systems that have specifically said that they will refuse to comply. So if you want a system that is guaranteed to refuse, then Ageless Linux. I don't remember if it's .com or not, but just do a Kagi search or DuckDuckGo search for it, and you'll find it. Ageless Linux.
There's a list, actually. There's a list of, I want to say there's about 10 of them right now. I'm trying to look it up that have already, like Devuan, for example. It's the fork of Debian that doesn't have System D. So Devuan is one of them. I think Artix, and there's like 10 others. I'll try and look it up right now.
I know Graphene OS is also on there for Android devices.
Yeah. This is so I probably haven't System D ranted on the podcast, but I kind of indicated and hinted that the Linux ecosystem, a lot of it has been captured. And this all happened back in like 2014. It's when they captured Bitcoin too. They captured a lot of open source projects, and people finally realize it now. They're like, oh wait, System D age verification. They finally realized System D was a massive capture of the Linux ecosystem. It's unfortunate, but at least everyone understands it now. So that's a benefit. Like that's a move in the right direction.
Bawdy, thanks for jumping on, man.
Yeah. Sorry I'm late.
Yeah, no worries. Next story today. This comes from somebody mentioning that the FCC under Chairman Brendan Carr updated its covered list to include foreign-produced consumer routers, barring new models from U.S. sale or marketing unless granted conditional approval by the Department of War or Homeland Security. So they're not allowing the importation of routers from foreign countries. I don't know. I don't really know much about this or what they even. This aligns with President Trump's 2025 national security strategy, emphasizing reduced dependence on foreign components for critical infrastructure. So that's pretty wild. I don't know what the repercussions of this will be. Public reactions highlight practical challenges, noting most routers are foreign made with limited U.S. alternatives, potentially raising prices and disrupting markets, while supporters praise it as a proactive step against state-sponsored cyber attacks. So yeah, state is telling us what routers we can and cannot use. Interesting. Next story over here is, what is this? The dark web is not as anonymous as you think. Someone built a tool that rips the mask off hidden websites. It's called Onion Scan, and it's terrifying. One command, you point it at any .onion dark website, it scans every corner of that site and tells you exactly how anonymous it really is. Spoiler alert, most of them are not. Here's what Onion Scan finds automatically. So they're saying most of these .onions aren't all that anonymous. So here's what the Onion Scan finds automatically: leaked real IP addresses from misconfigured Apache servers, GPS coordinates hidden inside image metadata, SSH fingerprints that can be matched to ClearNet servers, software versions and server banners that fingerprint the exact machine, open directories accidentally exposing the files the owner didn't know were public, connection between anonymous sites revealing they're run by the same person, Bitcoin addresses, email addresses. So pretty interesting. Here's the wildest part. A researcher ran Onion Scan on 800 dark web sites. In the results, Motherboard found 8 illegal sites leaking data that could identify their owners. One drug marketplace had camera metadata in a product photo, a Nikon D3-100. Another site server was hosting a second hidden service that revealed the vendor's country.
Yeah, so definitely stop running your SMTP, and FTP servers over Tor. That's the first thing to stop doing.
Yeah, and I guess those that are running these dark markets will be using this to realize what their vulnerabilities are, I would think.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of that stuff is stuff that's, yeah, if you run a server over Tor and you're using Apache and it's misconfigured, yeah, you're going to pwn your IP address. Like, that's just... these are all, how can I put it? Like, these don't look like problems with Tor. They look like tangential things that could cause you to be pwned if you're using those particular tools over Tor.
Right.
But
it's people
like,
just not properly
Tor, like,
using things.
Yeah. So we have an X from our chat. I guess I'll just read it. Maddie Collins tipped 0.1 Monerotopia. Alpine Linux doesn't use systemd while Ubuntu does. Quai emission is log diff, but key scales linearly with diff 1 kilohash per second. 1 kilohash to 2. I'm just going to let the readers read that. I can't read all that. Also, Quai and key aren't private. Thoughts, body. Kiss. Kiss right back at you, Maddie. Let me think about that for a second. Yes, Ubuntu is basically pwned. It's the best entry point for noobs, but you want to eventually get off Ubuntu if you can. Also, I dropped a link in the comments here where Lunduk put a list of all the ageless Linux. I don't know if you want to bring that up or not, but
I don't know if I can bring that up right now. Yeah. So, but yeah, Quai. He said, Quai is not private, but Chi is somewhat private. I think it shields the amounts. Or I don't know. It doesn't shield like all elements, sender, receiver, and amounts. It just shields some components of that.
Yeah, I would love to give some thoughts, but I don't really I don't know anything about Quai or Chi. I can't even pronounce Chi.
We'll have them on again at some point. Bitcoin news: lost 6,000 BTC Irish weed dealer. Fortune comes back to life as 500 BTC move after 10 years. Irish drug dealer loses $46 million worth of Bitcoin, or 46 million pounds worth of Bitcoin codes he hid in fishing rod case. And then just recently, a 500 BTC transaction from Clifton Collins containing coins untouched for 10.2 years has been broadcast. So these coins that were supposedly lost by this drug dealer that he seemed like a pretty interesting guy. He was selling weed, and then I think he was throwing his profits into Bitcoin in like 2011, 2012. And then I think he claimed that they were lost. He said he stored the private keys on paper hid inside a fishing rod case at a rental property in Ireland. After his 2017 arrest, the house was cleared out and his belongings were sent to a landfill. Authorities and Collins himself believe the keys were gone forever, with courts ruling the funds were forfeited as criminal proceeds. Tonight's movement of 500 BTC suggests at least part of the stash may not have been lost after all. So this is highlighting Bitcoin's resistance to boating accidents, right? You cannot lose your Bitcoin in a boating accident. These coins are moving. Whether it was him who pretended that, the coins were lost and he actually has them, or maybe it was, I don't know, the investigators that came in. Maybe they actually found the keys and they kept them. Who knows? But this cannot happen with Monero, right? Once lost forever. There's no seeing things moving on a blockchain. So clearly, these coins were not really lost. Next story. Starting Thursday. So this guy, I think is who is this guy? He's head of product at X. Okay. Starting Thursday, we'll be updating our revenue sharing incentives to better reward the content we want on X. We'll be giving more weight to impressions from your home region to encourage content that resonates with people in your country, in neighboring countries, and people who speak your language. While we appreciate everyone's opinion on American politics, we hope this will disincentivize gaming the attention of U.S. or Japanese accounts and instead drive diverse conversations on the platform. We invite creators to start building an audience locally. X will be a much richer community when there's relevant posts for people in all parts of the world. Yeah, so this did not go over well. I think they've since backed down from doing this. They got a lot of pushback. Obviously, it's a global platform, right? People should be able to communicate globally and get the word out globally. Their fans and followers, you could be in the Philippines, but all your followers might be from the U.S. Is it abused? Do you have foreign agents basically that are spreading propaganda in countries that are not their own? Absolutely, but this really isn't the solution, right? Like Monero, for example, it's a global phenomenon. It's not part of any one country. I'm part of the Monero community. We're all part of the Monero community. It shouldn't matter where we are geographically. When we're posting on X, we should be able to basically reach all Monero people, no matter where they may be. If I'm in the US, I'd want it to reach the entire globe. Anybody that's interested in Monero to see my posts. So this got a lot of pushback, and I think Elon stepped in and is backing off on doing this. So. But interesting to see that they were attempting to do it. I don't know. Maybe they still will do it, but I think they're backing off. Just in, Iran is now one of the world's largest Bitcoin miners, contributing as much as 6 to 8% of global hash rate. 70% of mining is conducted by the military. This is wild. I don't know how true this is. I see this guy, Bitcoin historian, just constantly trying to post like bullish things for Monero, like constantly. For Bitcoin, but let's give this a listen.
Like Iran, for example, last 5 years they've been using Bitcoin mining as a way to get around sanctions. So they almost hit about 6 to 8% of global mining. If you look at chain analysis and Chainlink's data, was global mining. About 6 to 8% of that was Iran, and almost about 70% of the Iranian miners were owned by the IRGC. So they were using mining as a way of getting around sanctions for a while, right? So there are countries like that. There are countries like Russia that have used stable coins and crypto tokens as a way to get around sanctions. But on the flip side, there have been countries like Lebanon, which unfortunately is caught up in this war, decimated. GDP is down 40%, 300 or so banks are closed. I mean, forget about you cannot find a teller. The whole building is being blown out, right? So in that environment, we are seeing people, Lebanese citizens, paying for groceries with stable coins, with countries like Iran, for example.
So pretty wild to see Bloomberg talking about this, and the fact that Iran, we've always heard it. It's more relevant now than ever, right? They're in this war. Bitcoin is becoming a tool that they can use to kind of get around sanctions and whatnot. Obviously, something like Monero would ultimately work much better for those purposes, and I'm sure we'll eventually see that transition as the flaws of Bitcoin are revealed, right?
I guarantee we will see that transition.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a much better tool for those purposes, right? So Bitcoin is great. Anyone, anywhere can, with access to energy, can start mining it, can obtain this value, and then can zap it anywhere they want in the world for a fraction of a cent. Except the problem is you can see it on the ledger. So it kind of loses its censorship resistance-ness when you can see what people are doing with it, because then people could come tell you to no longer do that, right? They could see how you're using it. Sure, you can still press the button, you can still hit send, but if the whole world can see it, it becomes a problem. It's no longer as censorship resistant as it was. Sheldon tip 0.0014 XMR. BTC mining state actors could force makers to embed censorship logic into ASIC silicon. Over an upgrade cycle, these compromised machines would dominate the network, enabling slow, unavoidable censorship without miner or pool consent. Odds it happens. Yeah, that is possible. Especially seeing that with Bitcoin, it is primarily mined, or really only is mined with ASICs, and there's only a few of these producers. So would it be that hard, perhaps, to force them to do something like this, to force the producers of ASICs to do something like this? Whereas in Monero, you'd have to compromise all the creators of CPUs, which would be perhaps not impossible, but much harder to pull off. So yeah, Monero is not only more private, it is more censorship resistant, guys. The IRS just rolled out the most aggressive crypto audit form ever, signed under penalty of perjury. If a future unfriendly or administration wants to weaponize this, they've got perjury statements on everyday taxpayers ready to go. So let's check this out, guys. More good news from the feds.
Very extreme form. Although we've got an administration that's very pro-crypto, what we've seen over the last couple of years especially is more and more crypto audits. And what we're talking about is most recently the IRS, even though there's all this movement towards regulatory clarity and pro-crypto legislation, that the IRS is now using this very extreme form. In fact, a form like nothing I've seen in the last 10 years working in crypto, or even just working in the IRS audits, that is extremely detailed, 2 pages, listing out different exchanges, but requiring a yes or a no next to each one, the dates that they're used. But the part that's most concerning about this new form is the potential implications. It requires a signature under penalties of perjury. So if you get it wrong, there could be criminally charged with perjury. And that's just bringing this to a new level, truly like nothing we've seen before.
And what is it about the particular sort of ask that the IRS is making and the threat of perjury that's different? Is it an extension beyond what they would typically do outside of Bitcoin and crypto?
Yeah, well, I think one of the first problems is just the scope. Typically, if you're being audited, you're being audited for a specific year, single year or certain years that they specify. And ask for information on those years. This form asks for you to answer about your crypto activity from the beginning of any activity all the way through the end of the audit year. So it's basically opening up a magnifying glass to everything that you've done and potentially expanding that audit into other years by just answering this form. But we've helped clients over the years with IRS audits, even outside crypto, auditing their small businesses or just individual tax returns. And typically, if the IRS wants to know what bank accounts you use, they ask you. There's an information document request. They say, well, identify the bank accounts you've used, not under penalties of perjury, not here's a 2-page list of every single bank. And you tell me what years you've ever used it. Because if you answer that wrong, you make an honest mistake. Now you're in a dispute about your intent. Was that honest mistake or not? Those types of things don't exist outside of crypto, right? With bank accounts, it's what banks did you use? So in a crypto audit, what they could simply do is ask, which crypto exchanges did you use? And answer that question in writing. That's standard. Having a form like this that has all of these details where if you have to check yes or no, right? It's not, and the problem is confusion, right? A lot of these different exchanges, they've changed names over the years. The formal name that they're potentially using, maybe not even really a name that you even heard of before. So you check the box no, but really should have been yes. And the people online have said, well, look, if it's a unintentional or misunderstanding, then you didn't necessarily commit perjury. Well, I'd never want to be into a dispute with the IRS or the Department of Justice of whether or not I made an honest mistake, right? You're now already in a problem. So there's just, it's creating all these additional risks for taxpayers where if there's an unfriendly IRS in the future, an administration that doesn't like crypto wants to weaponize this information, they've got statements, perjury statements, potentially that can be weaponized against the everyday taxpayer.
There you go, guys. Some more great news from the IRS. Looking forward to receiving that form. Bastards. Just trying to set everybody up. Everybody's essentially guilty until proven innocent.
Yeah, keep complying, guys. They're just going to give you more forms and stuff.
Yeah. I got sent a letter last year. They were sending everybody a letter, and it was more general. It's like, have you ever? It was like, do you think maybe there's some crypto transactions you made that you're not telling us about? Is essentially what the gist of the letter was, in much more language than that. And so I responded to it because you have to, right? Well, you don't have to, but I thought it would be the strategic thing to do, and basically ask them to tell me, what are you potentially referring to? Please send all files you have on me, all records you have on me. Please let me know exactly what it is you might be referring to, because I don't even know, what the hell you're potentially suggesting here.
Wait, there was an XMR chat just now that was maybe relevant.
What do we got? Yeah.
I'll read it because, if you don't mind, I'll read it.
Is this it? No.
No, it was David Boofer.
Why don't I see it? That's
weird. Yeah, it popped up on the screen for a second. Interesting. That might be a bug, actually. There we go.
Because it's not an XMR chat. Okay. Yeah.
Oh, YouTube. Okay. Yeah, degenerate Boofer people have figured out that most of us don't even need to pay taxes. Yeah, I mean, no one has to pay taxes, obviously, but the scribbles, they violate their own scribbles.
Yeah, so that's fun. Next story here. So this is pretty wild. Just the AI propaganda that's coming out from Iran. It goes really hard. Breaking: Iran is continuing to drop propaganda claiming Donald Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu sacrificed children to Baal. They're reading our internet and making content that plays on confirmation bias. This is psychological warfare. Yeah, let's go ahead.
We sacrificed 168 beautiful Innocent school kids, the best kids. Tremendous sacrifice. Nobody does sacrifice like we do. We did it for you, sir. Believe me, Val, it's huge.
More. I want more!
الله الرحمن الرحیم برای قربانیان جزیره فلسطین ما متبع را هدف قرار می‌دهیم.
Wild the timeline we are in right now. It is just insane. I remember the Gulf War we were watching. I was a little kid, and it was like you were watching it on CNN, right? Obviously, what was his name? Wolf Blitzer, right? And you're seeing things that were going on there, and obviously it was all propaganda. But now it's a whole another level with AI, and it's obviously become a major part of the warfare here. This is one of the strongest attacks Iran can mount against the U.S. is putting political pressure on Trump, and so I don't know, these things. It's crazy, and I would say I'm not saying I want Iran to defeat us or to win or to whatever, but they're doing a hell of a job with their AI. They really are. Versus what I'm seeing the U.S. put out. What do we have here? We have a new project. So Schmidt, try to get him on the show, by the way, too. Try to get him on a Monero Talk. He's always working on things for Monero adoption, various projects, and just putting out the word. But it looks like he built something here. Monero invoices in seconds. XMRpay.link. No accounts, no KYC, no backend. Just enter your address, amount, and get a QR code plus shareable links. So that's cool. So it's a quick way to generate an invoice, a Monero invoice. Transaction pool verification, PDF invoices, fiat conversion, all client side, open source, self-hostable, available via Tor. So that could be quite useful for people. Very cool to see. Let's see if we click on it. Oh, now it opened it up in a new window. Hold on, guys. Let's check it out. So XMR Pay, Monero payments request in seconds. So this is pretty cool. This is a public demo for real payments. Host your own instance. So you can host your own instance of this, and you could quickly, easily generate Monero invoices to send to people, so you can keep track of things. Very cool. Very cool to see. Yeah, so many people are just, I said this I've been saying this the last couple of shows. We've had examples of it, people coming on the show to showcase their projects. But there's like a renaissance happening right now in Monero. A lot of projects coming out. A lot of people vibe coding. I saw Vic saying, he disappeared for a week because he just started vibe coding his own app rather than having his devs build something. I think I'm going to give it a go. I'm going to try, just for fun, try to build something as well. It's like, it's just a great time to be alive in that respect. All right, a lot of this AI stuff is scary, but the fact that you could use these tools to build apps without needing to be a developer, for people like me, that's more idea based. It's pretty magical. So I would like to give it a shot as well. See what I can do. Just be fun. Just in 4.3 trillion mortgages, our mortgage provider Fannie Mae to accept crypto-backed mortgages. So we talked about this a little bit with shortwave. So Fannie Mae is allowing for crypto-backed mortgages. What it really is just crypto-backed loans for down payments. So like I explained earlier, let's say you're trying to buy a $500,000 house. You want to put down a $100,000 down payment, but you don't have any cash, but you do have 5 Bitcoin. You can use those 5 Bitcoin as collateral to get out a loan for the $100,000 down payment, which is cool. Very cool. Cool to see. I don't know if that makes sense for people to do. Like, they're making it sound like there's not really any risk involved, and it would be crypto that's held on Coinbase. So ultimately, yes, there is risk, right? Not your coins, not your keys, not your coins, but interesting to see that happening. What else do I have left? I think that's basically it. Oh, here we got another one here. Breaking, Reddit CEO announced he's forcing human verification on the platform. Is this true, guys? That seems pretty wild. He will force users to verify through biometrics on their devices, a third party or government ID. Every single option compromises your anonymity on a platform built on anonymity. That's crazy.
I did hear about this tangentially because I'm on Lemmy, and I was seeing a lot of posts like, be prepared for the new wave of Lemmy users. So I did see that tangentially.
Crazy. I guess they want to stop the bots and stuff, but it seems very antithetical to what Reddit was supposed to be all about, right? It's like an anonymous forum. That's what allowed it to flourish so much. What's happening? Clear labeling for non-human accounts. Yeah. Crazy. So we'll keep an eye on that. What else we got here? Last story of the day. This one hits home. I've never seen this on X before. I replied to a post, then I clicked on my own reply to check it. X had hidden the original post I just replied to. It looks like a deleted post. So basically this is all about, I posted that the XMR Bazaar account was banned. It was banned a couple of weeks ago, like maybe 2 months ago at this point, over a month ago. And we since got a response from them. And they said, hello, thank you for your patience as we reviewed your appeal requests for account at XMR Bazaar. Our support team has determined that a violation did take place, and therefore we will not overturn our decision. Your account has been suspended and will not be restored due to violations of the X rules, specifically our rules around violating our rules against illegal and regulated behavior. So very vague. We don't know what rules we violated in their illegal and regulated behavior terms.
When will XMR Bazaar be on Nostr?
Yeah, we could do that, but like the people are on X, right? Like we could all go talk to ourselves on Nostr, but
I mean, you're not getting anywhere on X at all, so
yeah. So
you're banned on X.
We'll be there too. I mean, but we're still trying, right? I don't want to abandon millions of people, right? We need to bring in new people to XMR Bazaar.
I mean, sure, keep trying, but they seem like they've made their decision.
Yeah, so what we have to do is just start using other means to spread it. I see there's an XMR Bazaar Observer account that popped up that started tweeting out the listings. I have an Anon Bazaar account that we could start using to tweet out the listings and see if that eventually gets knocked down. But crazy, right? I mean, you see so much crap on X, so many bots. I'm seeing so many bots now. Like somebody posts something and like the first 10 posts are just like AI bots, right? And here we are, a genuine account that's out there that's trying to grow digital cash economy, the Monero circular economy. This should align perfectly with the ethos of X, and yet they go out of their way to ban it, right? And it's not like they overlooked us and they actually then responded to us and just told us, no, you can't bring it back. Like what term did we violate that was so bad? I see so much crap out there. Yet something productive like XMR Bazaar that aligns with the ethos of X supposedly being a free speech maximalist platform, that they censor, that they boot.
If you believe that any of these companies are a free speech maximalist platform, I got some oceanfront property in Arizona. I'll gladly sell you.
Yeah, no, Monero is always the litmus test, right? You know, plenty of Nazi stuff out there on X, and I'm not saying ban it, but I'm saying here you go. They're fine with that. They're fine with all these extreme forms of speech, extreme point of views, and it's great. Let the best ideas win. But the Monero circular economy, they fear. They see a count that's growing Monero adoption, peer-to-peer adoption. Not talking about number go up. Like you could have an account that has 100,000 followers and you're just talking about the price of it, pumping the price of Monero. They don't care. But if you're building a P2P economy outside of the fiat system, that is feared, very much so. So that is the final story of the day. We'll try to get it reinstated. If not, we'll just try to push XMR Bazaar out on X using other means. Continue to try to grow things because it is growing. XMR Bazaar is stronger than ever, healthier than ever. It is growing. It would be nice to continue that trend using X. We were mentioned in a Bloomberg article during Monerotopia. I was interviewed. I mentioned XMR Bazaar. They published it. Very cool to see. But X, who should be aligned with us, has gone out of their way to hurt us instead of help us. Road dogs and trucker hats tipped 0.0001 XMR. I'm seeing age verification being pushed on a bunch of different services that I use. It sounds like Android's going to be locked down at the end of August. Android. Yeah?
Yes. That is due to the apps not being able to be installed from anywhere other than the Play Store, supposedly. There is some nuance to that, but it's not good, that's for sure.
Crazy. All right, guys. So that is the news for today. We do have Bawdy. We could run and do price report. I see we have Alaska Anon that's chilling with us right now.
I do have two things real quick though.
Okay.
Re2Swap has been under a denial of service attack. So if you've been having trouble with taking offers on Re2Swap, that is why. Woodser is working on fixing things. So hopefully that gets fixed soon.
How long has it been DNS attacked?
It's been under a denial of service attack for off and on for about a week. So Woodser is working on some fixes. So hopefully we should get those and get back to normal. I think it's mainly on the Monero Bitcoin pairs for the instant trades. I think that's where the most people are seeing it. So if you're doing like euro to Bitcoin, or euro to Monero, or US dollar to Monero, I don't think there's, at least from what I've heard, there's not anything going on there. But if you're doing Bitcoin to Monero, you might have some problems.
Yet another example, right? This is what they fear the most. People using Monero peer-to-peer, people obtaining and trading Monero peer-to-peer. This is their ultimate fear.
And then Monfluo wallet is going to have an update either today or tomorrow. And this new update adds an address book, finally. And it adds transaction notes, so you can tell, you can like put a note down as to what the transaction was for. And it also adds this thing called adjusted block height. So when you restore a Monero wallet, you can say that you restored, like you started your wallet at block 3,527,000 whatever. This thing, what it does is it takes the oldest coin and it will tell you what that oldest coin is, so that you could later restore your wallet from that point instead of the point you have written down. And you would lose some of the transaction history, but you wouldn't lose any funds. So I'd consider it kind of like how like if you go to the grocery store and you get a Snickers bar or something, and you go home and in 5 days or whatever, you find the receipt in your wallet and you just go ahead and shred it or throw it in the trash. I think it's kind of like that. It's basically the equivalent of shredding it or shredding the receipt or throwing it in the trash. It's like, I don't need this anymore.
Interesting. Is that wallet getting traction? Does it have a user base?
From what I understand, it's got about 2,000, maybe 3,000 users.
Okay. Very cool. Very cool. You use it?
Yeah, I use it as my main wallet.
That's your main wallet. Very cool. Why is it your main wallet? You just think it's
Because it has no it has no fiat APIs. It has no nothing. It's Monero and Monero only. No trading, no swapping, no fiat APIs, no gift cards, no nothing. It's Monero and Monero only.
Awesome. Jamie Demon tipped 0.001 XMR. We should always spell out the phrase peer-to-peer because the banks have started using the abbreviation P2P for their own pawn-to-pawn payment systems. Interesting.
Just for the record, that's pwned to pwned.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, peer-to-peer. Don't let them control the language. Good point. Good point.
Now,
go ahead, Shortwave.
I was just saying now, unless you have something else, we can move on to body.
Yeah, let's move on. Let's move on to price report. Another big week. Curious to see where Bawdy thinks things are headed, especially with the price of oil and whatnot. But yeah, let's run the price report. Justice, if you were there, go ahead. Justice, are you there?
Asleep at the wheel. How dare you?
I can do it. I can do it. I can do it. Bada beep, bada boop.
The Monerotopia Price Report segment is sponsored by Exelix, privacy-first multi-chain swap aggregator designed for seamless instant swaps. Exchange XMR instantly with the fully non-custodial, KYC-free experience and secure execution across hundreds of blockchains.
Alrighty, buddy. How are things looking, man? You
Sideways,
enjoying
man. A lot of
sideways?
Chop. Yeah, everything's chopping. Some stuff is going to break down, though.
Yeah, I don't know if you caught our conversation at the beginning. I mean, with the war going on, it does feel like things have to get much worse before they get better in terms of price of oil going up, markets going down. I just don't see a scenario where the price of oil doesn't spike at this point because of the glut, right? I mean, there is no quick open up the Strait of Hormuz. There's no turn it all back on moment. I don't see how that would work unless Iran just like gets what they want from Trump and Trump then just walks away and they open up the Strait. But right now they seemed like, they're not opening up this Strait. And Trump is going to have to go in and force it to be opened. And when that happens, I don't see how things don't get much worse before they get better, at least temporarily, hopefully quickly, potentially much longer. But I just don't see a scenario where things don't get worse before they get better. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it gets worse before it gets worse, maybe, for all we know. Like,
yeah,
they're doing retarded things. Like, it's really bad. I guess they won't let oil get too high. I don't know what their end game is here. Like, what are they trying to do? If they're trying to destroy everything and like burn the world down, then okay, like they're on a good path right here. At some point, you think they've got to like make a peace, right? They got to do some peace and get the oil flowing again. I feel like too high a price of oil ends up being bad for the military apparatus itself. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but I mean that'll cause inflation, right? And then people get angry and then they stop paying more taxes. So,
I mean, it seems like the end game is take over the Strait of Hormuz, and now oil is flowing, and now price of oils is tanking, and we reliably control, another major artery in the world, and we don't have to worry about that for the foreseeable future. That seems like what the end game is like to control the Strait of Hormuz.
Yeah, they're gonna have to demine that entire area, and it's not a small area. Like on the map, it looks small, but it's a huge area, and they're gonna have to figure out how to find and remove all of those underwater mines.
Yeah, and then you have the granite mountains that run along the coast over there, and my understanding is it's there's a whole like missile defense system built into those mountains. There's like underground like railways that are moving missiles to launchers that shoot out of the mountain and then close back up, that are resistant to bunker bombs. And it's like 300 miles worth like, how do you deal with that? How do you prevent?
You invest in oil.
like
that's how you deal with it. You buy oil. You buy the refineries.
you're saying the U.S. comes in and buys?
No, I'm just saying, how do you deal with that? Like me personally, you buy.
Oh yeah, sure, yeah. You buy oil. You buy oil and you short the market.
Unfortunately, it looks like you might have to short gold. Nah, gold has kind of like two.
It ticked up though, right?
Say what?
Gold ticked up a little bit when shit was really hitting the fan.
Yeah, so gold has kind of two headwinds. One is that big money is moving into oil, so that's negative for gold, but it has the other benefit that geopolitical instability is positive for gold. So it does have this kind of like counterbalance. So it looks a lot like we're going to see some sideways chop for gold here coming into the future.
All right, man. Yeah, take it away. Curious to see your thoughts when you think shit might hit the fan and we have another leg down in crypto, if we do. But feels pretty inevitable at this point. I just don't see a scenario where the macro doesn't cause crypto to crash, where oil doesn't go up and crypto is forced to crash.
All right. Well, I should be sharing my charts if you want to put them up on the screen.
Sorry about that. Here we go.
No, that's fine.
Bam.
No worries. All right. So as always, you know what? Today we won't start with Monero. Today we'll talk about the macro because that's what we're talking about. So, your suspicion about oil going up, the chart supports it. Like this is a chart that shows significant strength. Let's go to the weekly because oil is kind of a long-term chart. It's been range bound, for a very long time, mostly between like 50 and 150, basically 130. So you can't see it as well on the weekly, but I just want to give you guys like a little bit of a bird's eye view of what the oil chart looks like. So this resistance line here at the top, we're going to touch that line. Like that is going to get touched at some point here. This is a very strong chart. Let's go to the daily and you can see it. So I know it's messy. I know there's a lot of lines here. I'm sorry. We'll try and mute some of those lines. We'll remove the red ones. Basically what happened here is oil went up to the very top of these, the upper standard deviation bands. It took a little bit of a pullback and immediately went back to the top. So that's basically strength. Given the geopolitical situation, we can only expect that this chart is going to continue going up. So if you own oil, if you own defense, or if you own oil peripheral, refineries and all that stuff, then you're about to make a shitload of money. To do that, you basically have to be in the stock market, right? You can't buy oil. I don't know. Someone tell me, am I wrong? Can you buy oil in cryptocurrency, right? Is there an oil token in crypto? Because that would be the play here.
You can buy oil on crypto exchanges, but I'm not sure if you can.
No, like you can buy Pax G on Ethereum, right? So like you can get exposure to gold on Ethereum, and they're like reasonably trusted. And also, I think Tether has their gold token as well. Yeah, we need an oil token on fucking.
I was looking into that too. Yeah, I don't think there's any trusted one yet. I don't know.
Yeah. This thing. I mean, there's money to be made here for sure. It's at least 22% higher. That you almost certainly are going to get an easy. You could just swing trade that. So that's unfortunate. I don't think anyone really wants to pay $6 at the for their gasoline at the pump. Gold. So right now,
well, how high do you see oil going? You're saying another 20% is like an easy.
So let's go to the monthly. It's easier to look at the monthly. Basically what I'm saying is that this line right here, this upper, like this resistance line, that's a spot, like that's an obvious spot to look at. The difference right now, if the Iran thing doesn't end, and it seems like it's not going to end. It doesn't seem like it's going to end. You can see what's happened here is like this was kind of a wick, right? There's like a couple months wicked up, and then right now we have this wick here, but it's not over. Like this isn't done. Usually what would happen with a chart like this is you wouldn't just wick and come back down. You would touch this right here and then hang out, maybe take a pullback. You might even beat this line. You might even do something like this. Like that's totally possible. What I'm getting at here is that what's happening, we're probably not just going to wick up and come back down immediately. You're going to see oil come up here and then figure out if it wants to try and break out or not. And that'll probably be driven by the geopolitical situation. So.
And so like 150 oil or something.
Yeah, I don't want to put like a number on it, but maybe, right? 150 wouldn't be 150 because that's the previous all-time high. Yeah, it would actually make a lot of sense Now that I'm thinking about it, it would make a lot of sense to do something like that. Spend some time here, and then we'll just have to wait and see what happens. But yeah, very likely oil will challenge its previous all-time high and break. It'll break above this line right here. So, that's. I'm not too sure like how much. So that's a negative influence on gold, right? Because money is moving into oil. Because everyone knows, like obviously, right? Like it's an obvious play. So gold has taken a pullback as a result of that, but geopolitical instability is like a big, like it's a big plus, a big bonus for gold. So right now we've had this pullback. If we go down to the 4 hour, actually let's go to the 1 hour. It looks to me like gold might be trying to stabilize right here. We might not, we might not see further downside in gold temporarily. In fact, we could continue to see a little bit of positive in gold. It wouldn't be unreasonable at this point to try and challenge those this lower standard deviation band, right? The orange bands. You'll notice that that's exactly where. So oil had this big wick down, and then it said, "Okay, that's enough. Whatever. I don't know. The market, whoever decided that's enough," and it came back up. And right now we're in this situation again. So markets do this, like traditionally markets do this. They make some big move, right? Some big volatility move to the upside or downside, and they establish a low, and then they sort of oscillate, and the volatility falls off for a period of time, while the market sort of compresses, right? The volatility compresses, and then eventually the market decides where it wants to go after that. So right now, what it looks like to me is that gold is probably going to stay range bound inside of this area right here. So for those listening on the radio, that would be like 4,700 to maybe like 4,300. That's kind of what we're probably looking at. So sideways action, right? The assets that we hold, guys, right now we're looking at sideways chop. That's going to be the case for Monero and Bitcoin as well. We'll get to that. But ultimately it's possible gold could try and challenge 5,000 again, right? It could try to get up here to the top. I think that just depends geopolitically what's happening. But yeah, right now there's, you could sideways, like you could swing trade gold in kind of that narrow band, and you would probably do okay. Just be careful that you don't swing trade that for too long, because then you could end up, swing traders win until the volatility returns, and then they lose. It's kind of like impermanent loss on Ethereum, if you know what that is. Some of you guys know what that is. Okay, dollar index right now looking strong. Obviously, the price of oil is high, so the petrodollar is also going to be doing pretty good. So Dixie has come back, and this is also weighing on gold, weighing on stocks, weighing on risk assets. There is a moderate inverse correlation between the dollar index and risk assets. So right now, effectively what's happened, you can see these lower standard deviation bands. Again, just the technical analysis. We came up here, spent some time, oscillated, and now it does look like this thing wants to try and break out higher. Is it going to? I don't know. Dollar index is a very slow-moving, stable kind of thing. So it doesn't have to break out immediately, but it could. It's in this kind of zone where it's like you're looking for sideways. We're not looking like right now. That's not going to happen. Like dollar index is not just going to drop like 3, 4, 5% here out of nowhere. You're looking for stable to up. That's kind of our outlook here for the dollar index if you're a currency trader. Let's see where else we're going to look at. Reverse repos never do anything. They stop doing stuff. We don't even look at them anymore. Not even worth it to mention it. Let's take a look at gold versus I don't know, maybe silver. Where is that? Actually, let's look at gold versus oil. So, we talked about this for quite a few weeks. We said, hey, this chart is fucked up. Like this chart is doing stuff that it's never done before, except for that one time when oil went negative. So that wick there, but don't worry about that wick. Just ignore him. The fact that gold did this and just continued going up, and this is a monthly chart, by the way, guys. So this is very long time frames. This right here is not normal. That's not supposed to happen. And it's also another reason that I think that they did the Iran war. I think that gold was getting away from them and they couldn't stop it. And so I think they had to distract the big money. They had to distract money from gold into oil. The other thing too, obviously, we've talked about this before. Let's be a little bit schizophrenic and go back to oil. But what we saw here was that oil was about to crash again, right? Like when oil crashes, the petrodollar crashes, and so does like the stock market and the system. And they did the Venezuela, but it wasn't enough. It wasn't enough to pump the oil price. So they had to do Iran because they don't want this shit to fall. So again, sort of connecting that back here to the gold versus oil price, I think that this was getting away from them. And so Iran was partially about controlling this chart, because you really don't want that kind of PR, right? The world moving back to the gold standard and it actually happening. So that was probably a factor there. We were going to look at gold versus the S&P. That's XAG, XAU. Yeah, so gold versus the S&P, it actually hit. I was kind of afraid of this. I was hoping that we would get something up here. I was hoping we would get more action, but again, this is where a TA kind of tells you, like, should you be worried? I didn't think that was going to be the top. I really thought that we were going to get the top of this band. So this is gold versus the S&P 500, obviously. I thought we were going to go a little bit higher, and that's not what happened. We could still go higher because the S&P is kind of sucking right now. So hypothetically, it could get higher, but at this moment, guys, this is a resistance point. So when we talk about the gold market and when should you sell your bags or transfer, you shouldn't think about selling, quote unquote. You should think about, how am I going to move my assets into some other asset class, right? I want to get on the right side of the trade, and then just stay there for a year, 2 years, right? You're just rebalancing your holdings. Anyways, so what we're looking at here is gold versus the S&P. Is, if this thing is ever going to break out and go higher, it's going to take time. Like, we're going to have to sit here and wait a couple years while this thing establishes, tries to break through that resistance. So just be aware of that. It's unfortunate, but that seems to be the case here. And, it's happened so many times where, it happened to me. It happens to gold bugs all the time. They get excited. They think that the monetary system is about to collapse and gold is going to, buy you a city block and all this nonsense. And then they miss the top. And then you're stuck for a decade holding an asset that's flat and depreciating. Meanwhile, everything is inflating. Stocks are up, and crypto is up. And so I'm just saying, like, if you have life-changing or even partially life-changing gains in gold, now is the time to look for an opportunity to move gold into something else that could benefit you. It could be property, right? Buy a house. Like, have you been trying to buy? Like, you're looking to buy a house? Do that. And even though we're not at the absolute top of the market, right? Even though gold is at 4,500 instead of 5,500, you're still up a fuckload. Like, if you bought gold, and everyone here, I know everyone listening, like, already had gold. So if you bought gold, 2 years ago or earlier, like, you're up a lot, right? You have nice gains. Transfer that into something that will benefit your life, make your life better. Don't just, like, true believe yourself into writing a decade long bear market or sideways chop. Okay, moving on. We need to look at bonds, because bonds actually went up. Let's see. You know what? We're actually here, so we'll do this. The balance sheet of the Federal Reserve is still, like, kind of nudging higher. So that's interesting. Stocks are down, risk is off, and the Fed is kind of printing money. They're not printing enough of it, I guess, right? If you look at it, like, in the big scheme of things, that's actually not that much money printing. Okay, whatever. Let's look at bonds. Bonds actually went up. So my assumption here right now, so when rates go up for bonds, that means that people are selling bonds and money is moving out of bonds and into somewhere else. So right now, I guess what's happening is people are selling bonds and they're moving into oil, right? Like, that's what the big money is doing. Because rates went up. So macro crash at this point, it's weird, because I don't think we're going to get a macro crash. I think that we could be getting a bear market. So look in the S&P 500. I think we are basically approaching bear market territory. Is it official yet? No, it's only 9%. I think is it 15 or 20% for an official bear market? What we're looking at here, guys. So we talked about this. Let's go to the monthly. Actually, let's go to the 3-month, because this is a 100-year-long chart. We talk about this all the time. I just, for anyone new here, I want to show you what this line is. This guy right here. This is the 1929, the first blow off top that the stock market ever really did since they'd made the Federal Reserve. And then we just connect that to the .com, right? That's what that line is. So let's go to the daily again. And slow. There's a thing here that it's supposed to do it already. Whatever. All right, slowing down here. So this line right here is that big 100-year-long line that I was showing you. And this is really bad action. So what's going to happen is the stock market is going to come down and try and shoot for this lower standard deviation band at this point. Stocks are going to fall. That includes your AI stocks. Sorry, bros. Sorry, gals. If you're a gal listening to the price report, your stocks are in troubled waters here. So why I say that is because this right here should have been a better bounce. You'll notice that it almost touched that line and kind of bounced up here to, like, the tune of maybe 2%. And then immediately came back down before the week was over, and now it's below. Like, things fell on the Friday close. So it's a foregone conclusion. This is not going to hold as a support. It's over. It's fucking going down here. I don't know when. That's not a macro crash, though. That's like the big thing I want to say. Like, this right here was kind of a mini crash. It wasn't a true macro crash. It was a mini crash. But this right here is just, like, this is kind of a bear market for stocks. So, what can I tell you? You're gonna have to buy oil if you want gains. You're gonna have to get into oil and probably commodities. I think we looked at that last week. So, Nasdaq obviously not doing any better, also falling off. And I don't know. Let's look at Nvidia. Oh shit, dude, you're gonna lose a lot on Nvidia. 23%. You're gonna lose 23% of your value on Nvidia, maybe up to 30%. But it's fine. Just give it a few years. It's gotta come down here and kind of do some of this, and then and then it can take off again. But that's not, the timeline on that isn't terrible, right? We're on the daily chart, so you're basically gonna have to wait until the end of the year, maybe next year, to like get your gains back. But listen, they're always gonna make stocks go up. They always have to go up. The billionaire class, what they do is they own their stocks, and stocks go up on average 10 to 15% every year. And then they take loans at the rate of, say, like 2 to 5% every year. So they just continually take loans, and their stocks go up faster than their loans. So they just continually roll their loans. They're always in debt. And that's how they never have to pay taxes. I don't recommend anything, but it's a fraud, and it's never going to end until you guys stop paying and just like refuse to obey. Like, history has shown us that the moment that mass disobedience happens, change also happens. Like, you guys have to like fucking just take some risk. Fuck. All right, I'll stop preaching at you, whatever. It's disappointing that some of you guys are still paying that shit. You don't have to. And it's not like legally you don't have to. It's like, don't be a bitch. Stop paying. All right. Anyways, what do we want to look at here? So now we're going to go to crypto. We did the macro first. Usually we do Monero first out of respect for our beloved coin, but I guess we were already on the macro, so it made sense. Anyways, looking at Monero, we're basically sideways chopping. We kind of broke down out of our little bull flag here, but I'm not really concerned about it because Monero has tended to be more stable during bear markets. It was a good play last bear market, and we've seen so many new people get involved with Monero. Like, it's really that simple. Over the past 3 years, Monero respect levels have gone up by at least 2x. We just see people in the ecosystem that weren't here before. We saw fucking Clavicular mention XMR. We covered that last week. And he's not even like a crypto bro. Like, he's not, like, he's just an influencer, some like degenerate. And he mentioned XMR. So we just have more people in the coin, using the coin, doing stuff, which is weird to me because the transactions, like, still, like, we're still sitting here at like 25. We're on the upper side now. We tend to float around. We have been floating around the upper side of 25, but we're still kind of centered on 25. It's weird that people I guess they're just using it for investment. They're not actually using it for payments, we told them not to do that, but whatever. So anyways, Monero had this kind of bull flag action. We said, hey, bull flags break down in bear markets, and that's kind of what happened here. But at the same time, it doesn't feel like a travesty. Like, this doesn't feel like a horrible breakdown. Are we going to hit back here for like 290, 280? Probably. That's probably where Monero is going to go, but I don't think it's just going to go there post haste. I think it's going to take some time, and it'll probably go there with the Bitcoin when the Bitcoin does that. So Bitcoin is also doing the same thing here, where it's in this like bear flag pattern, and they almost like tried to fake you out, right? This little guy right here, that little like that wick up. They're like, oh, look, it's we're going to break out. No, you're not. It's not going to happen. Things are going to break down here. So is it going to happen right now? No, I don't think so. Honestly, guys, I think that the name of the game in crypto right now is sideways chop, with the downward trajectory at some point in the future. I think it's a bit early for us to be crashing. It might even be the case that we could spend the next few months pretending like we're forming a bottoming pattern. And then you'll see all the fucking influencers on Twitter, and you'll see the bros, and you'll see the who's the guy that owned BitMEX? He always posts stuff. Whatever, doesn't matter. Arthur Hayes. You'll see the Arthur Hayes of the world posting their long ass articles about bonds and why that means Bitcoin is bottoming and it's time to buy, and then it's going to crash again. Like, they're going to build. My suspicion right now is they're going to build this thing up. There's going to be a lot of foreplay into the fake bottom for Bitcoin and crypto, and then it's going to crash again. So that's just kind of like me saying some shit, right? That's just my intuition. That's my feels. Take it for what it's worth. When it comes to the Z scores, again, like last week, Tron is the only thing doing good. It's weird that Tron is fucking like performing. Let's look at Tron again. It's just because it's the only one doing anything. Justin Sun, what are your bags doing? God damn it. That guy is making money. That guy is making a lot of money. Shouldn't have sold my Tron bags. God damn it. Yeah, this is, that's a really nice looking chart. It's going to take some time still for this thing to beat its upper standard deviations. But this is not a bad looking chart, especially for a bear market, right? Like, please, this chart is going to come up here for some period of time. It'll probably pull back. and it's going to set up. And Tron in the next bull market, like you heard it here first. Buy Tron for the next bull market because this chart is ready to go. This chart is probably gonna make some new like push towards the upside. So we'll look for a dip in Tron, and then I'll tell you to buy. I won't tell you to buy because you guys will shame me at the next Monero conference, next Monerotopia, if I tell you to buy Tron. But hey, I'm just trying to tell you what the price is gonna do. All right, hash rate Monero looks good. Everything's fine. Nothing ever happens here. So let's look at the Bitcoin versus Monero price again. Same story, right? Same story. Sideways chop. We're looking at this kind of channel here, and I see no reason why that should necessarily be broken anytime soon, especially since my outlook for crypto in general is sideways. So if everything is sideways, then how is the ratio between two cryptos like Bitcoin and Monero? How is that also not going to be sideways? Unless, I don't know, someone did a hack and maybe bought Monero again. But those always seem slightly fake. All right, so that's Monero. Let's look at the privacy altcoins. I'll call them altcoins today instead of shitcoins. This is popped out at me today. Let's go to the weekly. This is Tari. And Tari is down, like we talked about, 99 point something %, which is basically total loss at this point. And this is Cubic. Cubic is only down like, I don't know, 77%. And I know that only sounds like a 23% difference, but that is literally, if you look at it this way, we're literally looking at like, that's a 5x difference or a 4x difference. A 4 to 5x difference here. In other words, what I'm saying, Fluffy Pony, Cubic is outperforming you. I don't know how it's possible, but Cubic is outperforming you, Ricardo. Like, damn, bro. Like, your coin is just dying here. This is horrible. All right, but that it happens. It's like when you invest in brand new coins, you have to expect that you're going to lose most of them anyway. So, I just didn't think that Tari was going to fall that bad. Zcash not doing anything, also trying to be sideways, choppy, cool. They're going to support this coin because Monero is getting so popular. They need an alternative to pretend that they're also being cool, which they're not. They're just a bunch of homosexuals talking to each other all the time and doing other stuff that we can't say live on stream. Pirate Chain also not doing anything. Oh, look, they broke down a little bit. They actually did do something. They broke down. This is unsurprising, right? Pirate Chain is also kind of another scam coin. I'm sorry for those of you that think it's not a scam. You're wrong. Like, you're objectively wrong. But this is what you have to expect this coin to do. Like, they're going to try and coattail ride whenever Zcash does the pumpy. They're going to try and coattail ride on the Zcash pumpy, and but they're not going to be able to sustain it. They just can't. Like, that's what happens when you fucking mine 90% of the supply in 3 years on ASICs when nobody knew about your coin. They're like, well, it was an honest launch, bro. No, not really. You're just trying to pretend like it was honest. Xano somehow is still like, they're still doing okay. Like, they're up here. Probably someone is supporting it. Maybe it's Roger. I don't know who's supporting Xano. But there was a thing. They did a thing. So maybe they've got some price support here. I can't remember what the thing was. You guys told me last week that they had an announcement. It doesn't matter. Whatever. What is Xano going to do? I don't know. I'm kind of ambivalent on Xano. It could go up. It could go down. It could go sideways. It seems like they probably, like, with a coin like Xano, they made the announcement, the good news, whatever it was, I forget at this point, but they made that announcement and nothing has happened since then except for like the pump. So it seems like they've probably ridden most of that, like the news, right? Like, buy the rumor, sell the news. When they implement the thing, that's probably a sell the news event, unless they can come up with some other news. Who knows, right? Maybe Cryptozoidberg has something else up his sleeve, in his pocket. I don't know. But I'm not really a Xano guy, so we're not going to spend too much time doing that.
Well, the news was being added to Thorchain, so
yeah,
I don't know if that would be a
Thorchain
sell the
forever.
news, because it would be more liquidity, more trading.
Yeah, more liquidity for those that knew about that news beforehand and had their pump. More liquidity for them to offload. Like, I don't know. Also, Thorchain takes forever, right? Thorchain, like, they say they're going to add someone, and then like just this long delay. So maybe they'll milk this for another news event. Like, we're gonna add Xano, and then they're gonna be like, we're about to add Xano, right? Like, we're so close. They'll probably do something like that, and maybe try and get another pump here. But long term, maybe long term that could actually be a good thing for the price, because yeah, you do want liquidity. You want people to get in and out, be able to frictionless get into and out of your coin. Yeah. But I guess that's it, guys. I don't really have anything else here. We've kind of looked at everything. We talked about the macro. Again, sideways chop. The stock market is going down. Crypto is eventually going down. And everything else looks like sideways chop, except for oil, which is obviously going up. So, oh, I think maybe we missed some. I think we missed some XMR chats. By we, I mean I. I apologize. I don't know if you want to put them up on the screen. I'll just quote them. I don't see you put them up. Maybe, or am I still? Here we are. All right, Quadro Salata tipped $1 million. He said people can buy spot leverage oil on Hyperliquid. Shit. Yeah. Okay. Great comment. Thank you, bro.
Oh, that is cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I always forget about Hyperliquid. Okay, and then Zamian tipped $1 million. He says, thanks everybody for bringing us the show this week. The thing about global leaders is that they are all insane, but they're not all stupid. Also, a very good comment. That's exactly right. They are fucking psychopathic, insane, but they're not retarded. But some of them, but some of them are evil geniuses. Respect your enemy.
For sure. What is oil doing on Hyperliquid right now? I'm curious, actually.
I don't know. Probably somewhat similar to what it's doing in the real world.
Does it slightly lead the market on the weekend?
I would need to. I have no idea. I need to get more on Hyperliquid, to be honest, and see what's going on there. Because,
yeah, because I mean, you can't really be futures trading that's happening in the markets versus.
You know what? Let's just pull it up right here. Okay, where's our hype? Okay, I can't find the. I'm not seeing where I can look up an asset. Here we are. Oil. Brent. Do we want to look at Brent or probably just WTI?
Yeah.
They have to tell us that we're permissionlessly third-party Hyperliquid. Okay, whatever. $99, and is that where oil is now? Yeah, basically it's the monthly. Let's go to the daily. 101. So it seems to be slightly behind, but Hyperliquid is 24/7 trading, right? So it's gonna until oil opens, it's gonna be slightly divergent.
Right, but that's an indicator maybe that like the oil's headed down, which is I find that hard to believe. I would think. All right.
Well, I mean that's only a small difference, right? Like it's more an indicator that probably people are comfortable where the price is at, right? $99 to $101. That's really
it's negligible. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, they're probably just waiting for the next news event, waiting for Monday.
So you're saying sideways chop for crypto, but that's like even in an instance where we start to see oil approach like 150, like we're saying, or you think that's going to take some time for oil to pump up like that? Because it feels like, I mean, it's going to happen fast. It's going to happen soon. Every day that strait is closed, there's more pressure on the markets. And right now, Trump put another 10-day delay on the negotiations, essentially. Or not a delay on the negotiations, but a 10-day pause on supposedly taking action, right? But for those 10 days, I mean, the strait is going to be closed. And so where every additional day that strait is closed, it's less oil in the system versus demand.
The thing is that markets are forward-looking, so all of these big boy players, they're doing their calculations, they're running their statistics, which go far deeper than anything we do here on the show. And the price of oil has already incorporated that 10-day delay, right? They've already it already pumped on the calculation of that delay.
Right. But now they're talking about the other strait might get closed now that the Houthis are jumping in. Like that's already priced in. I find that hard to believe.
When was that announcement? Was that before the close?
No, that happened this weekend. I think just today or yesterday they fired a missile at Israel, kind of showing that the Houthis they're in it. They're fighting.
The timeline matters there. I would assume that happened before the close, because if that happened after the close, we would probably see Hyperliquid oil being higher, right? They would
say, that's what I was expecting. Yeah. Okay. So maybe it happened before.
Actually, maybe I'll just look it up. We'll see when this Houthi oil. We'll see when this story hit, and that should tell us 4 hours ago. 2 days ago. No. 2 days ago, Yemen's Houthis ready to join Iran war if needed. So that was 2 days ago. So that's probably also.
So that already got priced in.
Yeah, I think so.
Interesting.
Well, although I think that the missile they launched was actually today. That's
the
looking
missile
a lot
launch
like
was today. Yeah.
But maybe they already knew. I mean, you have to realize too. There's we're talking about the oil market, so there's like big players, big five, big money. These guys, and they have insider information, right? They always do. Like they pretend that they don't, but they do. They probably knew that shit was like about to happen. So again, it's even though the news only broke today, it's still possible that got priced in here, just on like them knowing that was probably coming.
Okay. Oh, I don't know. My gut is saying we see much higher oil prices relatively soon, within like the next 2 weeks during this 10-day period.
No, that you're probably right. Like that's the news stories are probably like the hits are not going to stop coming, right?
Yeah. I mean, Trump is going to try to quell things, but it's literally just going to be his rhetoric. It's not going to be any actions that it's going to be quelling things until he goes in there and tries to fully take over the strait, which could happen before the 10 days is up because he's going to want to surprise them.
The other thing to realize is that markets do move in big cycles, right? There are big cycles that happen in markets, and oil is no exception. We just saw a macro cycle happen for gold, and now we have to start asking ourselves the question, is gold done with this macro cycle? I think the probabilities are now more likely than not. That doesn't mean, obviously, that doesn't mean that, things are just going to crash like horribly. Probably with the way gold has happened is it'll probably find some way to make its way back up to 5,000, but at this point, all bets are off when it comes to gold. But we had a macro cycle in gold. This is a massive movement. Oil at this moment has entered a new macro cycle. That's what's happening. And on the monthly, we just have this one candle. But this is probably a trend that's going to continue. We're going to have many months now, probably, where oil is hanging up here at the top. So yeah, I mean, you're right. Yes, I don't know if it's going to happen necessarily in the next 2 weeks. It could. But the more important thing, I think, to keep in mind is that oil is now in a macro cycle that will send it to the 150 level and potentially higher. We've had a lot of inflation for the past 5 years, 6 years, and oil probably needs to catch up in some ways there. I don't know. That's speculative, but
yeah. But like even watching Bitcoin climb a little bit now this weekend, it's just surprising to see, given the condition, given what's going on out there. I get from a charting perspective, right? It's just chopping. It hit a low, but it seems like it's like completely ignoring reality. The fact that there's more of a likelihood that oil prices will be going up soon. More. I mean, maybe I'm completely wrong about that, but it's just strange to see that Bitcoin right now is ignoring that and just like, oh, creeping up. Strange. But I'm not a chartist. I'm just a feels guy.
Yeah, the technical analysis only gets you so far, anyways. Like, there's only so much you can do with that. You have to integrate everything else into it.
Yeah, some of these guys that are just like purely chartist, it just like blows my mind. Like that they're just looking purely at the chart and kind of ignoring the narrative, and they just say like the narrative follows the chart, but not in an environment where you have one dude who's literally deciding the direction of things based on tweets. Like how can a chart, right? It's like a black swan event every time Trump, a black swan or a white swan every time Trump tweets. It's like I don't see how the chart can predict that.
No, the chart can't, but they're like the macro trends, like they still transcend one dude tweeting, like whether it's Musk or Trump or whoever. The reality is that, again, we're in this macro situation that has turned from gold now to oil. And so what Trump can do, or what these influencers can do, is change the nature of how that chart unfolds in a macro sense. So it's like, we know oil is going up, going to hit 150 very likely. When is it going to do it? I don't know. It could be on the next Trump tweet. We just know that that's probably coming, right? So they can influence the nature of that trend, but they, and being Trump, he could end the Iran war, but listen, Trump is not sitting there vacillating. Am I going to end the war today? Am I going to negotiate tomorrow? Do I want to have breakfast? I don't know. Like, let me have another McDonald's hamburger. Like, it's not just Trump, right? Like, he has an entire apparatus behind him.
Oh yeah.
By which these decisions are made. I mean, it's I mean, it's the deep state didn't go away just because Trump got into office. Like, he is the deep state.
For sure. Serena Hill tipped 0.001 XMR. Quai is nice, but it mainly enforces address non-reuse. Miners reorganize among themselves to reduce latency, keeping Uncle block rates low. It isn't fully resistant to majority attacks for various reasons. However, it does have coincident blocks. Okay. Like I said, I'm sure we'll be talking about more about Quai at some point. All right. Bawdy, man, thank you for the price. I think now would be a good time to do viewers on stage. Anybody that wants to go up, I see Alaska's chilling out. If you want to get any new faces up here, or you don't have to show your face, but new people, new voices. Let me go ahead and add the invite link. I'll do that right now. Jump on up, guys. Do not be shy. Do not be shy. You don't have to turn your video on. You're more than welcome to, but you don't have to.
I shall never share my face.
Let's go ahead and run viewers on stage. I'll do it.
The Monerotopia Viewers on Stage segment is sponsored by XMR Bar. Play dice with Monero using your privacy-respecting and provably fair algorithm. Go to xmr.bar. As always, verify and never trust.
Please gamble responsibly in accordance with the laws of your jurisdiction.
Okay. Do we even have Alaska? Yep, there he is. All right. Alaska, are you there?
I am, sir. Good morning, XMR family.
Good morning. Good morning. Jump on up. Let's see. Let's get somebody up here. Get somebody new up here. Come on, guys.
There has to be somebody new out there.
Guys, like and share, retweet, get the word out a little bit. Come on. Come on.
Hey, Doug, I was wondering if you saw the Hitler Youth's most recent post. They tagged you. They tagged you they tagged me, you, XMR Goddess, and I can't remember the others. They tagged us as Jews, verified, confirmed Jews.
Since when? This was yesterday?
Let me drop the link. Let me find it here. Yeah, no, this was Monero Maverick. Yeah, yesterday or maybe 2 days ago.
I've so completely filtered them out of my X.
No, he has good content. It's fucking hilarious, the nonsense he comes up with sometimes. He's like, follow me for how to be free with your privacy, and he like takes a picture in front of his Windows operating system. Let's see. I'll drop the link here in a second.
What spurred him to start attacking again?
Oh, I don't know. He's just I like to think, I really want to think about this guy that he's just like doing it for the lulz.
Yeah, I think so.
I think that would be the best case scenario. He's probably not, but so I just dropped the link here, the X link in the private chat.
Do we really want to give this? Do we really want to give this attention? All right. Okay.
Oh, we don't have to. I just thought it was funny.
Yeah. All right. Let's bring it up.
I'm not even Jewish. I have like 0% Jewish. Like, I don't think my 23.
I just don't want to draw attention to this schmuck. I try to block him out. I just find this to be a major time waste.
Fine.
Well, I'll check it out. So he called us all Jews, but based on something. Give me the summary here.
What's a Jew?
No, he just said they're all confirmed. They're all confirmed XMR ethnically Jews. Just an observation.
Okay.
And then he put, let's see, XMR Goddess, Monerify. He couldn't even spell your name right. It was Douglas Tuman. He couldn't even get the S. Okay, and then he put me on there, and then it was kind of blank. Like it was kind of a weird. It was a really low effort troll. Sometimes those are the best ones, though.
Okay.
Anyways, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to bring up a sensitive.
Oh, and then why does he have XMR God? She has XMR Goddess in there too.
No, she's like ethnically Jewish, I think. Which is,
But what's the observation like? So yeah, let's assume like, yes, we're all Jewish, but then what are we all doing and coordinating and like what's the observation? You know what I'm saying? Like,
obviously,
all these people that are doing what? Like, we're all like
I mean, I'm
We-
sitting here
we
rubbing my
control the
hands
Moner-
together like a mosquito does, like a fly. You know, rubs hands Jewishly. Like I'm obviously plotting over here.
I suppose since I'm Nordic, does that mean that I must support pro-immigration policy?
I was going to say that we're all gathering to eat our shawarma, but I don't think shawarma is Jewish.
Pretty sure that's Indian.
Yeah.
You know, there is a kind of an interesting case to this, though, which is the let's just say the mask. The mask clearly works on the ignorant masses. So this idea of like certain people who are hardcore Zionists and genocidal maniacs and so on, they can drape themselves in this identity. And then anyone who has something even tangentially related to that identity is now guilty. You see what I'm saying? So if the premise of Monero is individualism and personal autonomy and freedom and liberty, but then you can literally be marked as a conspirator from birth by your ethnicity. You see what I mean? Like but it shows the power of, you know, if you're a Zionist nation state genociding innocent human beings, you can just call yourself this blanket term and lump everybody else in with your guilt. Is kind of like that's what Mav is proposing here. You know, you can have a blood debt on your very existence by being born into something that shares a name with some Zionists halfway around the world. You know, like it's terrifying how efficiently the cloak works. Like if you put the mask on, you can lump yourself in with another group of people, and then you can use them as a shield. It's basically so. Then the question becomes, if they're opposed to the idea of Israel using people as a human shield, or the other way around, if you're opposed to the idea of people in, let's say, Palestine using others as human shield, well, do you also embrace this idea of guilt by biological association? So, in other words, it's antithetical to everything that is supposed
Hey,
to.
Alaska, stay closer to your mic.
It's antithetical to the entire premise of what Monero is supposed to be, right? My money, my choice, you know. Like, but now if you have Jewish blood, which I mean, I know at least one person who is Jewish as hell that does way more for Monero than he is ever going to do, guaranteed. You know, it's like, oh, well, I'm sorry, you're guilt by association, even though you're probably the most Christian human being I know. You know, unfortunately, your mother was a Jew, so you're probably conspiring to destroy the Monero community or something like that. It's absolutely mind-blowing to me that you would be willing to have a concept like guilt by association based on your bloodline and also be a Monero bro. It's impossible to me.
Yeah. That's what's frustrating, right? This new breed of Monero bro that's like very close-minded in their own way. They're kind of missing the point. Somebody's asking, how do you join viewers on stage segment? I just put the link in. I put it in before as well. So it's a StreamYard link. You just have to click on the StreamYard link. That'll put you backstage, and then we can bring you up. Oh, look, there's people jumping up. All right, here we go.
Sweet.
All right, guys. All right. The Mav thing is funny though too, because like XMR Goddess was always very like friendly and open to him and trying to be nice. Maybe she got the message too and started not putting up with this shit. Maybe that's what happened. I'm surprised like he would try to make her an enemy, because she always seemed like she was trying to be a bridge to like ignoring all his bullshit and being like, oh, he's popular. He's helping Monero grow. So for him to now attack her, that's an interesting. I guess it's just all about this, right? Here we are. We're talking about it. We brought it up. He just wants to grow his influence through drama, just constant drama. Like I said, I completely filter him out of X because I just a few accounts that I blocked and it all went away.
I think all you guys spend way the fuck too much time on Twitter. Like, honestly.
Yeah, seriously. Agreed.
Facts.
Agreed. It's a problem. It's I regret it. Luna Lux tipped 0.001 XMR. Alaskanon is very attractive. However, I don't quite understand why more mining power should lead to more XMR rewards, as that would make miners more motivated. Wait, what? Turn on your mining machines. So, Alaska, you're very attractive. I agree. But then what's this? What does this have to do with it? However, I don't understand why more mining power should lead to more XMR rewards, as if that would make mine. Oh, because you disagreed with that notion. Okay. Turn on your mining machines. So, Alaska, I don't know if you have a response to that.
Hold on just a second, but I will respond.
I'm sure you have a response.
If my wife wasn't sitting right next to me, I would have assumed that she was the one who typed it, because I have no idea how to. But it's so there. What a lot of us who are proposing for some minor tweaks, let's say, to just the way and the amount of hash power that Monero is currently producing, it has a lot more to do with a security concern. But I also have a second concern, which is the tokenomics of it all. I think that, and I've argued the case before, that I just genuinely believe that there is a high chance that tail emission is just slightly too small. But they are kind of two separate conversations that just tie together, which is the hash power on the Monero network, I think, is a glaring weakness if this thing were to take off. I think right now it's not in any immediate threat, but if Monero were to gain traction, our hash rate is a vulnerability. And then the second reason why I'm a strong advocate for the increase of tail emission is it has a decentralization effect on if implemented properly, and it would almost certainly assist with the hash rate problem, which is cool. But I think that our community is so anxious about the idea of inflation because we come from the world of fiat currencies. We come from the world of, we want our money to hold its value. But deflation has its own economic risks. And there's a lot of work that's been done about the concept of money velocity, but it's never been done in an experimental place such as Monero. But there's a lot of reasons to believe that money velocity has a powerful effect on the growth of productivity over time. So that's kind of the angle. I think that it would become a more circular currency if people knew that over time it had a slightly higher inflation rate. And that is a trick that the powers that be use to keep people circulating dollars, and it works. So I just genuinely believe that the conversation needs to be had both on how to increase hash rate and also whether or not tail emission is too small. That's kind of the angle I think that she's asking me about.
And as far as people finding us attractive, we've gotten lots of people who said things like that, or like Body's gotten a kiss, and Doug's gotten a kiss, and I've gotten a kiss, and
I have a fan. Somebody comments sometimes on Super Chat like Rem C fan. I don't know who it is.
Yeah, we get kisses all the time. So
I'm a fan, bro. I don't put your name in mine, but I'm a fan.
I appreciate it. Yeah, the thing is you mentioned the money velocity, like you have to, if you're going to do some computation on the total amounts being transferred, then you can reveal information about the Monero chain, which is not what we came here for. Anyway, if we want to talk about something else, like have you guys seen Professor Jang? Like, he might have been talked about on the show, but he's the one who's like really been on it with like predicting what's going on with this Iran war.
Yeah, he seems like a propagandist, though, right? Like, where is he coming from?
He's a little
China controlled.
The most thing, first off, is that he's not even actually like a professor. He's like
a
high school teacher, but that doesn't mean that he's been freakishly right though. So
has he been right though? What has he been right about?
He's been
pretty on point so far.
The closure of the Strait of Hormuz.
Okay. Well, closure of the Strait of Hormuz, I mean, yeah, I would think that one would have been pretty obvious, though, right?
Oh, and we got a
You tack Iran, the one move they have is to close the Strait of Hormuz.
We got a super chat from Rupert who asks, who tips 1.5 Monero and asks, do you guys think the long-term consequences of the Iran war will turn out to be the Great Reset?
I'll give it a go if nobody else wants to.
It certainly seems like a further attempt at it.
Yeah, or Agenda 2030. Yeah.
So I don't, even though if I'm sure anybody who's listened to this show for like 10 minutes with me on it knows that I am very much a believer that there's like a satanic cabal that controls everything and they have their hands in the banking system and the media, all of that. Like I'm one of those guys, tinfoil hat, proud of it. But I also think that people grossly underestimate just how effectively they control those levers of power and how efficient they are at deploying their will. I think that a lot of people who watch this very carefully, and I wouldn't be surprised if Bawdy would agree with me here, they have kind of like a shotgun spaghetti at the wall approach, which is they try a bunch of stuff and move the ball as far down the field in the direction that they want as they think they can. And it's kind of like it's more of a pressure than it is like a highly sophisticated manipulation machine. Although I think that they also perceive themselves to have more control over these things than they actually do, but they're also trying to kind of play catch up to their own screw ups and failures. So I think that there's a lot of elements of what is being attempted right now where there's, backroom deals between powerful players and key figures and so on to try to, I guess you could say, make the Great Reset happen. But I also think that this is almost certainly not going the way that it was intended to go, because that's just how these things tend to go. And I think that it's a bunch of people playing chicken with their own, with a disaster that could blow up in their face. I think that it's very unlikely that the number of people who are opposed to this war was actually intended. I think that they knew they were going to get the boomers and that everybody in the boomer world was going to be like cool with it. But I think that they imagined the younger generation to have a lot more apathy to this kind of stuff than they really do. And that's a kind of a perfect example of, maybe on a geopolitical side of things, it does seem like it's pushing us more towards the Great Reset. But I think on the backside of it, now they're probably contending with a lot more people who are more interested in resisting the very same thing. And that's kind of how these things go, where it kind of works out for them, and then it also kind of doesn't work out for them. So I guess kind of, but not really. I think that it's opening up a window for us to also resist the Great Reset, I guess you could say.
All right.
I want to drop in for a short moment. I don't have a lot of time, but I pay converted from euro to US dollar over $12 a gallon for gas at the moment in my country. It is completely insane.
What is the amount? How much?
Over $12.
Yeah, $12 a gallon. It's more than that.
I think it's converted $12.70 a gallon in my country. But if I drive to the neighbor country, it's the last time I tanked gas there, it was 82 cents cheaper, which in my country's price was 1/3 of the price off. And if I calculate it in the price of the next country, it was more than 50% more what I pay in my own country. It's completely insane. And now with the Iran war, it's going from 244 a liter to 280 a liter, I believe. I'm not exactly right now because I tank in another country where it's cheaper, but that's also a big problem is that the harbors in Rotterdam and the harbors in Antwerp, in Belgium, don't let the tankers in. So it's not only they can't go to the strait, the moment they arrive here, they don't let them into Europe to drive the price up even further. It's absolutely deliberate.
Who's preventing that?
The government.
And what is the reasoning there? Or it's just secretly happening, you're saying?
In Belgium, go to the harbor of Antwerp, you have to sail a small part to the Netherlands. And if you want to go to the Netherlands, they are absolutely ahead of the 2030 agenda in Europe. They are ahead of everyone in the European Union. And they just block it. They came out with something like, you should, a couple of months ago, you should not use energy between 4 o'clock in the afternoon and 9 o'clock in the evening, because that's when everyone uses energy. Now, the only time I'm at home is like from 4 to 7 or so. So that's the only time I use energy. And now they start from, but the Iran war, but a shipper went on a news thing here in the Netherlands and said, no, I'm already 2 weeks in the harbor and I'm not allowed to dock my oil tanker at the dock and empty it. So they deliberately try to hold back the oil and the biodiesel and everything for they can push a green revolution with solar panels and that kind of shit. And they try to push everyone to electric stoves. But the countries like France, Germany, Belgium, they push for gas because it's more efficient than a lot of alternatives they use there, like some type of oils or wood. So they're pushing for gas, and the Netherlands is like, no, we go completely off gas. We have in the Netherlands the biggest gas in the ground, the natural gas in the ground from all of Europe, and we don't pump it out because it cannot be done because some province has problems with it because they have earthquakes and they don't pay for that to repair the houses. So those people got absolutely screwed. It's just a complete shit show here. And they push it even harder and harder everything they do, like Corona, they push quite hard in Europe. Now with this, they say to people that they should just don't use gas and benzene and I don't know what else. I don't follow the news. I'm always 2 weeks behind the curve or so, which is funny because all the shit show, all the anger is out of the conversation if you hear it somewhere from people 2 weeks later. But it's crazy the prices, and you see it in the stores. The food go up because if a truck, the 18-wheelers need to tank diesel for not 150 or so the liter, but for 250 the liter. Every price in the stores go up. So they squeeze us real hard. Housing is already for years, for more than a decade, a real problem because all the people that come in from the Middle East, I will bet you, now that they bomb Iran, the people that flee there will get more now that there's war. So even more people will come to Europe. It's a complete nightmare here in that sense.
I've got to ask.
Yes.
I've got to ask. Are you buying Monero? Because if you're buying Monero and starting to price your life in Monero, your life will get cheaper, and then you can get out of that hellhole.
Before you answer that question, Goth, I'm going to make you this show's special guest. Hold on, let me quickly run it.
Yeah.
The Monerotopia guest segment is sponsored by Cake Wallet, store, Send, receive, and exchange your Monero and Bitcoin safely on iOS and Android too. Cake Wallet is open source, and you always control your own keys.
Welcome to our honored guest.
Thank you. I was catching up at 2 times speed before the guest segment started. I was halfway the new segment. But I picked up a couple of things from the Iran war. You cannot control that country. The US should not be there. The European countries that also invade Iraq and Afghanistan should not be there as well. You cannot control a country like that. It's impossible. The people believe their own things. They are small tribes. We see it with the Romans in Europe. They try to conquer Britain and Britain and Germany. You cannot control every single tribe. It's just impossible. And I don't know why. Yeah, I know why they get involved there, because it's not for the US, it's for Israel. But I do not get why every time people take it and buy it, what they say. I'm complete done here with the government. I can't vote on any particular party because every single party has something stupid. I do not believe voting will change. It's
God,
it's just crazy.
Didn't vote hard enough. If you vote really, really, really hard, they'll listen to you next time. Like,
yeah, most of the
get down on your knees and hold your ballot and pray to your government overlords for their benevolence.
It's quite funny you say, because an ex-girlfriend of me always said, there is a moment you'll be nice, and then you get completely mad. Out of my mind, completely. Not that I do something to someone, but I will yell. I will absolutely stand my ground. And everyone always says you need to be calm.
A rich history of people like you, sir.
Yeah, no, but they always say you need to be calm. You need to talk about it. No, the only moment people listen to you and don't cross your borders is when you get completely mad, completely insane, to the point they think if I now push, he will chew my head off. It's stupid, but it's always like that. The moments last year, who out of the blue, just an extra 3.3% inflation correction on my internet bill. And then you're going to call for, I have a 2-year contract. Yeah, but we can do that. Like, what the fuck? What's the meaning of a 2-year contract then? Absolutely nothing. But I can, of course, as a small person, you cannot fight that in most ways.
So
I'm already.
Do you guys think, everybody here? You guys think in a month from now, this is going to be like another COVID situation, just energy crisis replacing fake virus crisis?
No.
Oh yeah.
Totally different.
You don't think that but I'm saying, are we going to be facing lockdowns and all that crap?
I think it depends. I think it might depend on where you are. If you're in Europe or Asia, that seems like a possibility, since they're closer to the Strait of Hormuz and actually rely more on them. But
right, I don't really see the scenario that it's brought to the U.S. That's I don't see it being global in that nature, but maybe it is.
That's the point, because what I say, the Strait of Hormuz is closed. It's already harder for ships to go from the Middle East to Europe. But if the governments of the biggest harbors in the European Union don't allow the ships in, you can have all the ships in the sea in front of your country, but if no one docks, you still have the same problem. So the problem absolutely is created here. Absolutely created. So
something very mechanically different, for one, than, for example, the COVID situation. Real, actual physical energy is what is at stake here, and that is the usable energy. In fact, there is so much oil right now, it is absolutely ridiculous. Like, the actual supply of oil is, like, even wrapping your mind around how much oil is actually available is crazy. It's about the usable energy. It's about the physics of what you can physically use is what's at the heart of the issue here. So that mechanic by itself changes the situation. With COVID, they could paper over it. They could sedate people for a time. And propaganda was a little bit more effective. When you're talking about innocent people dying based on your own personal behavior, people they're driven to comply to protect the people around them. Whether or not it's true, if they believe that, then that's what they do. The sales pitch here is have actual palpable misery in your life right now as a consequence of murdering people over there. So already you removed like the empathy weapon and so on. But another thing that makes this palpably different and goes to Goth's point here that I think people should not lose sight of. There are actually two ways in which most people end up having their will broken. Way number one is through somebody being compelled to do so. Like, for example, the threat of violence will often compel people to submit, to bend their will. It will break their will. The other way is when their own desire to resist is compromised. And we have a situation now where, kind of what Goth was alluding to here. If we remain the patient ones who have a better solution, and the power brokers and the people who are justifying their existence as leeches on the rest of us, if their angle is basically, we need you to suffer more so we can murder more, that's their proposition. And if you can wade through all the bullshit and your presentation is, I have a peaceful exit strategy over here, a Monero circular economy, don't vote, don't participate, stop listening to their lies and go do something better, and we can all be free. And they're being juxtaposed against, no, we need to punish you even harder. We need to remove your quality of life even more so we can kill people. It's a much easier battle to win, and we look rational. And that's one of the reasons why COVID was very disheartening, to watch people go along with it, but also it preyed upon all of the right weaknesses that you can find in a human. So people will over sympathize or over empathize and ignore the facts in front of them if they can justify it with some kind of sense of morality. But there are very few people on this earth that are okay with the idea of just having a war. People haven't been that decoupled from the world around them, especially now that the internet can bring that information right to your doorstep, which is one of the reasons why the whole school bombing thing lit a fire under a lot of people's asses. It's like, wait a minute now. We have empirical proof that you murdered a bunch of innocent children to get back at the leaders of a military institution. Like, that's supposed to be people who are off the table. And if you don't drop that, or another reason why the Epstein files have been so effective in getting people to walk away from both the Democrat and the Republican Party, because when you can present to people that kind of evidence where they're just as compromised either way, you can break that party politic where it's like, well, this one issue that I care the most about, these are my team. Yeah, they're doing all of these other horrible things that I don't agree with, but this one issue that matters to me, well, that veil is immediately lifted when you start looking at something like the Epstein files. Or it's like, no, if your thin red line is protecting the children, as let's say you're a Republican, it's like, oh, we have to protect the children. Well, Epstein files. Or if it's like you're in the Democrat Party and you're like, we have to end this, this government corruption where corporations and governments are one and the same, Epstein files. You see, like, it's the same piece of evidence that like derails the entire thing for both sides. And I genuinely believe that the suffering that's going to be caused by people's access to energy right now is going to be a perfect attack vector for free humanity to get these people out of power and say, look at how they actually cause tangible quality of life reductions. And we have a better system available to you right now. Another thing is like the age verification thing going on in Linux. There are a lot of people who are starting to wake up to like, maybe the institutions that I was championing aren't the freedom champions I thought they were. And they're having a lot of trouble like covering their own ass right now. But no, we're just trying to comply for this and that and whatever. It's like, well, it doesn't matter because the code is the code, you know. So that, but we have to stay the resolute individuals who have a better option. If the better option doesn't exist, then it doesn't work.
Yeah, it's not only the best option. It's what I say. Every time you push back, and I mean real push back. Last I drove back on my motorcycle from somewhere I came from, and the police was with a checkpoint on the road for people that drink, and I deliberately drove the other way. So a motor cop followed me, and when I'm almost home, like 50 meters from my home, he get in front of me and he said, "You need to come back with us." And I asked, why? Yeah, because we are over there with a checkpoint to see driver's license, and if people had drink and drive. And I was like, but if I have to drink alcohol, am I allowed to drive back? And he was like, "No, sorry, officer, I can't drive back." And he was like, "Oh, so you have drink?" And I was like, "You don't know, you have to test me for that. But that's over there, and I can't drive there if I have had a drink. So I stay here. You can go back there and get the test suit and drove back to me to test me. And if I drink, it's illegal, but I will not go back with you." And so back and forth. And I was like, "Hey, I'm living over there. I go home. Bye." And he was like, no, you need to come back." And I was like, "No, I will not go back because I have had alcohol. I cannot drive back. It's illegal. And so if you say I need to go back, you make me do something illegal, which is not possible." So I walked home. I put my motor on the side, walked home, like 50 meters. I go in my front door, and he was like, "Yeah, but what the hell?" And you really need to push back on that, on everything. And I'm quite hard in that way. I will not drive back 2 kilometers or so for a checkpoint. You can check me there and even get stupid answers and stupid jokes like, "Is your mother proud that you wear the suit?" or "Wear your bullet at school?" or whatever. I'm always make a problem out of it. They want to see your ID card. I hold my ID card, but I hold it so they cannot read anything on it. And when they want to touch it, no, you said see, looking with your eyes, not with your fingers. Don't touch it. And they always get a little agitated, but I always comply to the point that they cannot say I did not comply, but always in a way that there is a lot of friction, and most of the time it's like, "Okay, it's your driver license, go off, we don't want this. It's too much of a hassle to deal with you."
Yep, that's called malicious compliance, and that's great.
Yeah, and I do it all the time. And some people get quite mad at me from, "Why don't you just comply?" And sometimes I literally say then, "I'd rather die as a free man today, even before a cop or so. I literally die as a free man today for standing my ground than live on my knees for even a second." And years ago, I drive in similar kind of checkpoint. And I was like there, okay, I turned off the car keys, put it on the brake, and I start using my phone. And he was like, you cannot use your phone in your car. I was like, no, I can use my phone not when I'm driving. But I was already parked because my car keys were out of the contact thing. And I was like parked because the car was in free, the brake was on, I was not driving anymore. And I was in the middle of the road, and he was like, "Yeah, you need to go." Yeah, okay. Yeah, but first we need your driver's license and your alcohol control. I was like, "No, I'm just sitting here texting my friends. I don't even know what I was doing on my phone anymore." And he was like, "Yeah, okay, go away, you." And I was like, "Okay, bye." And another time, I was with a friend, and an officer said, "Oh, you need to go to the parking spot there for a checkpoint." And I drive the turn around, drive on the parking, and the moment the cops were there, I turned out of the line, and the friend was like, "What you doing?" And I very serious, "Hey, I don't get a stop order, so I don't have to stop." But it's hard. Most people in school, they get just ask everything. If you have a question for the teacher, put up your hand. If you need to go to the toilet, put up your hand. They are absolutely numbed down. I don't have another word for it. It's very hard sometimes.
So we have two more Monero chat tip questions. For one, is there any way we can put for Simon, just put it right on the show here what the address is for StreamYard link? And then we have how can you, Alaskanon, argue that money velocity is in Monero is relevant to its price, given that transactions counts don't reflect the actual amount of XMR being transferred? And a soft kiss to shortwave, his voice is smooth. He does have a sexy voice. That is true. And it carries well over the audio. There we go. That's the StreamYard link for you, Simon, if you're paying attention. And I will respond to that last question there. So the truth is, I don't know. And a lot of people don't know. But there's a reason why it's theorized. And this can definitely get into the weeds of economists imagining they understand things better than they do. But the underlying concept is there seems to be a strong relationship with, they call it M times V equals P times Y. But it's kind of a measurement of these two things tend to trade together. So they're, when money moves around faster, the economy within that ecosystem, it almost invariably seems to grow. That doesn't necessarily mean it's more profitable or more efficient, but the faster money is circulating, the more things within that economy grow collectively. And then another thing is stable prices tend to have a leading effect on the growth of that economy. And I might be oversimplifying a little bit, but that's like kind of one of the pillars that this is based off of, is that when you have a stable inflation rate, whatever it is, but there tends to be a high water mark before things go to shit and a low water mark before things go to shit. There, what numbers those might be is highly debatable, but there does seem to be like a Goldilocks zone of money supply where the economy does grow faster. It doesn't mean that it's healthy growth. It's just that's one of the underlying principles that seems to be observed over and over again. This is in the context of both gold supplies and fiat systems. It just seems to be true every time it's investigated. And then building on that, there tends to be where the faster the money velocity, the more it ends up being concentrated in growth industries. In other words, where there is demand. So if you take that second premise into consideration, a lot of people believe that the wider that adoption becomes, the more entrenched that economy becomes. So that's where you get into something like the dollar milkshake theory. And one of the reasons why I've become more and more glued to this idea that there's probably truth to this sweet spot concept is, if you look how strong the dollar stays, no matter what horrible news comes out, the dollar seems to be able to suck purchasing power out of the economies in which it is used very effectively, regardless of the fact that it's printing in a relatively centralized location. So then if you incorporate this idea of, okay, well, and kind of it built into your question, you were saying, how do we know that an increase in circulation would result in this way? Well, we don't. However, when you say if the Monero is being circulated, we don't know if it's buying things or we don't know if it's not buying things. Well, it's kind of a reasonable assumption to say that the Monero is buying the same amount of things as a percentage of the value being traded. You know, maybe people are moving things out of a wallet into a new wallet, but that should be probably the same amount as a percentage of how often it's happening. Hold on a second. I'm very distracted today, so it might be a while. Talk amongst yourselves.
Douglas, you said earlier in the show that Twitter was the place where you reach the people. But the question is, are there people on Twitter, or is it only bots and NPCs? And the reason I ask this hard way is because a long time ago, I read an article of a company that asks people what their favorite web browser was, what they used. And back in the day, that was, if you used Firefox, you were looking for a better or alternative to the standard Internet Explorer. And I remember that company said that are people that looking for a better way, a new way to do things. So we hire them over the people that just use the normal stuff. And I don't use Twitter myself. I barely use any social media. But the echo chambers and the amount of bots and the shadow banning on all the platforms, is that the place you can really reach people? That's more the question. And no point if you're not there at the moment.
I'm gonna have to go. Excuse me. I'm gonna have to go, guys. I'm in a very highly distracted situation right now. So God bless you all. Thanks for everything.
Alaska, have a good day.
Sorry, bye, Alaska.
It was very like all over the place, but very distracted. So God bless you guys. Bye.
Bye.
David, I'm getting on.
And with ageless Linux, what I looked about the last week when I heard it is graphene okay? And it seems like
oh, we got an echo from somewhere.
I hear myself. And graphene look okay, but what about cubes? Because cubes uses Debian and Fedora and Debian in the basis, and it looks like that normal Debian and Fedora just comply with the age verification, and the cube forum wasn't very assuring that they will remove the problems. Do you know anything about it?
I don't know anything about cubes myself, I haven't used cubes, and if Debian and Fedora are going to comply, and that's what cubes uses, then that could cause you some problems for sure.
Yeah, it was like they used just some Linux software just to get away from Windows or Apple. Sometimes that a company or a piece of software for something, I don't mind that well. But when I delete, like say, Edge and install Firefox or Chrome or whatever you want, it doesn't matter, and software starts to reintroduce the software you disable and delete, that's where you really hit a hard line with me, because I delete it on purpose. Don't start forcing it in with every single update. And that's what looked like here if all those Linux variants should take the software in systemd out that starts for verification. It's a hell of a job for them to maintain every single step of the way. But if ageless Linux is based on Debian without the verification software, it looks like for me that a project like CubeSOS can just start using ageless instead of normal Debian, because the software is already disabled or breaking out of it.
Well, from what I understand, ageless Linux isn't actually an operating system. It's more like some sort of shell script that sets some sort of parameters or whatever in your system that tells the whatever that you're not complying. Although I'm not exactly sure. Take a look at it. It's ageless Linux. I don't remember if it's .com or not.
I believe it's agelesslinux.org.
It might be. I don't remember right offhand, but I'm pretty certain it's just a shell script that sets some sort of variables.
It could also be, but it's very weird that a couple of months ago Google announced that the Android would be locked down as well, and it will deliver problems for F-Droid and Obtanium and what software you use. And now this is, so it's an attack on every single font to get this age restriction and age compliance in it, and it's very hard to every step of the way take it out. My bank apps constantly ask for my ID verification and my selfie, and I will not make the selfie. I will not do it. And I can't switch to another system because they just ask for the verification before I can switch to a new one, or delete my old one. It's like with COVID you had in, I believe it was Canada, if you want to get euthanized, you first need to take the COVID shot. It's like, it starts like to become this. If you don't want it, you still need to comply before you can remove it. Or you can change to a system that don't use it. And to answer your question earlier, do you buy Monero? Yes, but 80% of my income is rent, food, and hospital insurance, which is also enforced in this country that you have it. It's, I don't know, I don't see a financial way out at the moment. It's just very hard, and now with all the explosion in prices everywhere, it's even become a bigger part of my income that's divided to it.
Yeah, fair enough.
It's getting harder and harder every month, every day, every year.
Yeah, and you've just got to do your best, because over time you'll find that your Monero is you'll find that your Monero is actually increasing in value, and you're able to get more and more things with it. And eventually, you'll get enough to where you're able to get a plane ticket and get the hell out of there.
I see it also with the precious metals. If you buy, imaginary numbers, if you buy it for $100 5 years ago, it's now 200 or so. So, but it's in dollars, but the amount is the same. But you buy triple as much for it than back then, because the dollar is devaluated, and also the euro and the yen and every other country currency. But it's just every step of the way it's getting harder on the left side, on the right side, and I don't mean the political spectrum, but in the country, in Europe, it's also housing is just a problem. So the prices went up every single time. So you get a more expensive house than it need to be. The waiting lines for the rentals are getting longer and longer because of the immigrants that get even ahead of you, that get a house given to them. Private rent is getting more and more expensive. To buy one is even more expensive, and the banks will not comply because you need to make X amount of it. But it's most people with 2 jobs can't even afford very well. Now the gas prices on the gas in my country is about 70%, I believe, is taxes. The energy from electricity and drinking water, a huge amount is taxation. So I believe, if my numbers were right, if I only pay my income tax and my food tax, I over 45% of my income that I just paid in taxes. If I do anything else, it's above 55% of my income. And if you then need a rental house, which is, let's say, €1,000, it's almost half of your income only for rent, or even more for a lot of people. And it's just insane. And yeah, you said malicious compliance is a good thing, but there is a point you have to stop with it, because you literally can't afford the energy, and I mean the mental and the physical energy in your body, or the financial aspect of it to don't comply, because in some cases they just block your bank account or they send a ticket, and in my country they are extremely high. It is also insane. If you're not intimidate, curse at a cop, and he say it's forced against them, like I say it's an asshole. I can't get my head straight for the English. Then they say, oh, that's a ticket because you insult an officer, and it's like €800 or so as a fine. It's insane. And if you drive too hard, for every kilometer you drive too fast, it's, I believe, €11 in my country. But in one of my neighboring countries, I get a ticket for 13 kilometer too fast, and it was like €20. And in my country, that would be 13 times 11 is €133. And what I said earlier, a lot of people don't do it, and I'm always the one that take the heat. and I noticed that my energy, my mental energy, is just I can't take the fight anytime anymore, and it's yeah. What do I say? It's just my well-being that gets bad because of all the fighting and all the malicious complianceness of the not complyingness. And even my friends start asking me now from, can't you just comply for once?
Yeah, that sounds like an absolutely terrible place to live. What the hell?
Yeah, I want to leave, but now, last year they passed a law that if you leave, you need to pay for 5 years because you use the services in this country. Yeah, you say it right. I used to use the services.
Even if you can just save €1 a month, buy Monero with it. Eventually, you'll get to the point where your Monero is gaining in euro terms faster than what you spend with it. And then once you get there, you'll start to notice things get easier.
Yeah, I see it grow slowly, very slowly, but it's not only with Monero, it's also with the seeds I try to get for my garden and the food from the garden and all that kind of thing. It grows slowly, but it grows. But yeah, it's what I say. It's sometimes you need to envision it for the long run, like it's a 10-year plan or it's a 30-year plan. Because if you look at from month to month or from 1 year to the next, you say like, okay, I have bought €50 in Monero. Why the hell I'm doing this? But if you look at for a long enough timeline and you see that you can spend it on more and more places, then you see from, okay, I do it for the long run. It's pain up front, but I eventually will grow. Like it's a gym. The first time absolutely hurts, but eventually you get stronger and stronger.
Exactly. I've been buying Monero since October of 2022, and that's exactly what I had. I had several times where I would get Monero and then I would spend it all because I had to do something. I had to go get more food, or my refrigerator broke or something like that. And so I had 0 Monero again. And eventually that kind of thing stopped happening, and I stopped getting to where all of it went away, and I would end up with 0.1 Monero, and I wouldn't get below 0.1, and then I wouldn't get below 0.2, and then finally I wouldn't get below 0.3, and it just kept growing and growing and growing.
Yeah, that's the one thing I do right. Every month I look at my appliances, like my dishwasher or my washing machine or my fridge. Like, what do they cost new? How long do they survive normally? Okay, that's for €500 is a new washing machine, and they live for 7 years. So that's, I don't know the numbers out of my head. It's $5 a month I need to put away to buy a new one in 7 years if it's break. And if it's survives longer, I will still add $5 away every single month. Because I can buy or a better washing machine, or it will raise with inflation, and most things live longer. And yeah, I save a lot of that because it's a 5-year plan or a 10-year plan or a 7-year or a 15-year plan or whatever in other things than euros or dollars, because other things like precious metals or Monero or even Bitcoin will keep their monetary value better, or even become worth more in that time than they are at the point when I buy them. So I don't have to dip in my reserves that often for that reason, because I don't know the English word at the moment.
Yeah, but I get what you're saying. That's actually a very good way to handle it. What I've done is, personally, I have an amount of Monero every month that I consider to be a bill, and I'm billing myself. So it's a bill that I pay to myself, and I have to take this amount of fiat every single month. And the bill is paying it and getting Monero with it, and it's just an expense that I consider part of my monthly bills, and I have to pay it. But it's a bill to myself, and I grow my Monero that way.
Yeah, but if you do both, so one for all the things you use, like a car, like a dishwasher, like a washing machine, like a bicycle, it doesn't matter, a new TV, everything that can break, especially the mechanical things. And then a bill to yourself. You have both. You have also the 1 month or the 3 months eventually of stuff that can break. If every appliance in my house breaks today, except my motorcycle, I can replace it. Yeah, I will be back at 0, but the next 5 years I will be building back up that reserve before the next thing breaks. And then I have also, or at least I try, a plan to build up to at least 3 months of total expenses. So if I get jobless, I have 3 months I can afford everything before I need a new job. And then I pay myself with the stuff like precious metal and so on. This is to keep a small amount. To invest in myself, like whatever I want to spend it on, or save it, or whatever. But it's a puzzle in the beginning to set it up and to get your finances in order. It's really a lot of work to get out of the debt, if you have debt, or to get it straight that everything is automatically done every single month. Because if you do it manually, it's getting harder to keep up, because there is a 1 month you can do it, or you don't want to do it because you're on holiday, or it's a very busy month or something, and then you say the next month, oh yeah, I can also not do it this month, it's okay, and then you stop it. And but it's the more money you make and the less expenses you have and the less debt you have, the easier it gets. But since the war in Ukraine, energy prices doubled in most European countries. So most people get absolutely shitted for their energy prices because the prices doubled. Now with the war in Iran, it looks like it's going to double again. So it's quadrupled. And we also destroyed a lot of nuclear power plants after the Fukushima disaster, because nuclear energy is very dangerous. Yeah, if you play with it like they did in Chernobyl, or when they have earthquakes like in Japan, yeah, then it's dangerous. But most of Europe is very safe in natural disasters, so it should not be a problem if you do it safely-ish, like car driving. Car driving is very safe, and it's a human right to drive my own car and kill people with it when I drive way too fast.
Yeah, Europe is on the crazy train, that's for sure.
If it was the crazy train of the singer, the dumber crazy train from Black Sabbath, Ozzy Osbourne, then it's okay. But it's up, and it's very funny, because a friend of me, I was like, yeah, stop using WhatsApp and start using Signal, and he was like, yeah, they see everything about you, and I was like, yeah, but it's not only that they see anything about me, it's also the rest of the company Meta I don't like, and everyone just start to bitch and comply when I say I don't want to use WhatsApp, and just straight up don't answer for 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 days on WhatsApp, and then they send me a message on Signal, and I answer in less than a day, mostly in less than an hour. And why are you so fast on this? Yeah, because I try to teach you that you should use WhatsApp.
Exactly. It's like, don't answer for 5 or 6 days, and then when they message you on Signal and they're like, hey, what's going on, and answer almost immediately. Oh, well, that trains them to text you on Signal if they want to answer.
Yeah, it's like the Pavlov effect, where if you do that consistent enough, they learn to text you on Signal. And I'm even thinking about, because my phone is getting a little bit old and slower, and the battery can't take a day anymore to get a new phone, and then keep WhatsApp on my old phone, and on my new phone only Signal. So if people text me, I can't even see it because my old phone is at home on silent. So the chance I see it in like 2 weeks is bigger than that I see it faster. And if I'm on my new phone, then have only Signal or Session or whatever, and I see that every time, every day, and I react on it, I think people will eventually start switching. And with some friends, I do it, have done it with them, grab their phone and ask people in their Signal chat from every person they have contact on WhatsApp that have also Signal, please can we keep the conversation going on Signal? And some of them just start using Signal more and more because of my action to deliberately ask the other people to keep on the conversation on Signal. But yeah, it's very hard, and maybe I don't fight enough with the people in my immediate surrounding, my loved ones, to just say straight up, just screw you, I don't gonna use WhatsApp anymore. It's over. I use only Signal because I don't want to fight all the time with them.
Yeah, see, I've ended up doing that. I've just been like, well, if you like, I'm going to use Signal, or I'm going to use this thing, and if you want to contact me, here's where you can find me. Until then, I'll talk to you later.
Yeah, I understand that, but it's what I say. I already fight enough in the store over a 9% tax, over my boss that he should at least pay me 3.3% more every year because that's the inflation at least. And that's why they lie about it, because they say in Europe it's only a maximum target of 2%. And when I look back to 1962, it's at least 3.3% a year. So they lie about 1.3% a year, which is over 50% a year. It's like 66% or so, out of my head, that they lie that the inflation is more. And what I say earlier, it's the energy. It's already take up a lot of energy and all that things to do everything well, that I don't want to fight with my parents, don't fight with my loved one, don't fight with my best friend over. You can only contact me on Signal.
That's the same.
Yeah, and it is for everyone their own. For some people, they have less fighting in their financial life, or in their work, or in their personal life, because all their friends are like, hey, I use Signal, and then you start, oh, okay, I use Signal. So it's for everyone on a different front. But it's, yeah, what you say, Europe is absolutely insane. I don't know. They just don't shoot themselves in the foot. They absolutely amputate their whole leg with a shotgun or so. I don't know what they do. And people start, I should say it differently. I wanted to say, I don't understand why people keep voting the way they vote. But I'm absolutely convinced that the last election in my country was absolutely rigged. That it was not the real vote. I'm absolutely 100% positive about that.
I wonder if the only point at which people will figure out that they've been had is when they end up homeless on the streets.
To that point, it's for some people it's because it's hard to get a home here. It's for some people it's just a normal thing they see and they can't figure it out. The thing that opened my eyes was when I'm at kindergarten school. I'm abused by my teacher, and that's the thing where authority absolutely broke it for me, and I cannot comply.
Fair enough. Douglas, are you still here, sir?
There's an XMR chat from Mr. Lama.
All right, let's see what I can do here. I know I can't pull it up, but let me see if I can actually just read it off the screen here.
It's 0.0111 XMR.
Ashley Fires, Mr. Lima. Okay, let's see here. Time to use Harmony OS. That has way better security. Oh, wait a minute. I think I missed one. Sup, Monero homies. Have a good weekend. Love you all. We love you too. Mr. Lima. Ooh, wow, 11.1 Monerotopia. Thank you. And then let's see what your second one was. Wow, 2.2 Monerotopia. Jeez. Let's see.
Harmony OS is made by Huawei, or who do you say it in English?
Yeah, I think it is Huawei.
Dia.
Wait a minute, what?
It made for Harmony OS is made for smartphones, tablets, smartwatches, IoT products made by Huawei. It's not the same one, I guess.
And Ashley Fires sent us 0.1 Monerotopia and says using solar panels to produce H2, then watching a show on top of a hill while burning H2 to generate energy for mining Monero. Interesting.
H2?
Hydrogen? I'm not sure. H2. I know H2O is water.
Hydrogen, yeah.
I know H2O is water, but I think H2 is just hydrogen.
Yeah, it's hydrogen.
So she's using solar panels to produce hydrogen.
Okay.
Watching a show on top of a hill. Why would? What kind of show are you watching on top of a hill? That's my question.
Monerotopia.
Well, I guess so. While burning hydrogen to generate Monero energy for mining Monero.
So it's hydrogen for generator. Speaking about H2, I have pets, and one of them is a tropical aquarium, and I add CO2 to it to make the plants grow better. And all the glass gardens, how do you call them in English? The glass houses for your plants in the summer for your food. The big ones all add CO2 to it also to grow more vegetables. And then they say CO2 is the problem.
All right, I think I need to go. So.
All right, guys. Yeah, we could close it out here. I'll go ahead and run the outro. Thank you, man, for jumping up today. Appreciate it.
Thank you for the show every week.
Yeah, of course, man. We love doing it. Really do. just hard to balance with everything else. But
yes, I can't come up every week or most weeks, but I listen always after the show to it. Always, I like it.
Oh, we
awesome,
do.
Brother.
Before we leave, we do have another super chat from Road Dogs. Sounds like you need new friends. I came in late. Where are you at? He's in Europe, but we are about to end it, so you'll have to watch the show on replay, Road Dogs.
All right,
some of our
guys.
friends are okay. They use Signal, but some people are not. Hey, thank you. Have a nice weekend. See you later.
Yeah, thank you, Goth, man. You're always welcome to jump up on here anytime. Definitely keep us updated as things progress over there in Europe with regards to the energy situation. Hopefully,
I will if I can. Saturday is not my best day.
Okay, I thought you were going to say at some point you may not be able to access the internet the way things are going. Who knows, man?
My bug-out bag is ready. I love sleeping in nature, so that's not a problem. The moment they shut down my internet, I'm gone for them. I'm completely gone.
Awesome, brother. Yeah, unfortunately, there's not too many like you, but good to hear that you're of that mindset and ready to rock and roll. I think a lot of people in Monero land are of that mindset. We've all been waiting for the inevitable here. But let me go ahead and run the outro. Guys, we do these shows every Saturday at 11 a.m. Eastern. Actually, next week is Easter. I know despite the propaganda out there that I am Israeli Zionist Jew, I'm actually a practicing Catholic, so won't be around next weekend. I don't think we're going to do the show, actually, even though we do it on Saturday. So I'll let you know if we do it, but thinking we take next week off for the holiday weekend. Jews are also celebrating Passover, by the way. So yeah, guys. See you the following week. Adios.
All right, guys.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you for joining us on this week's Monerotopia episode. We stream live shows every Saturday at 11 a.m. Eastern. You can find and subscribe to our show on YouTube, Odyssey, Rumble, Twitch, iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Don't forget to follow us on X or join us in the Monerotopia Telegram group. See you all next week.